This is Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and since the birth of this LSU football program in 1893, only 3 times have the Tigers been led onto the field and across the threshold by a Louisiana native. And so tonight is an emotional night for their head coach, Ed Orgeron, a native of LaRose, Louisiana, from South Lafourche High School. He gets a chance to lead the Tigers into Death Valley as their head coach. Welcome to SEC Saturday Night, presented by Holiday Inn Express. Tonight, from Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, it's a matchup between the Chattanooga Mocs and the 12th-ranked Tigers of LSU. Always great to be in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. Welcome, everybody. Tom Hart alongside former Vanderbilt quarterback Jordan Rodgers. You could just see the emotion in Ed Orgeron's face. This opportunity to lead a school and a program that he dreamed about leading. There's no more interim tag. There's no more neutral site games. He's here in this stadium as their head coach.
Yeah, no doubt. Talking to him yesterday, this is a different game for him running out of that tunnel. And no doubt that in the locker room last year, even as an interim coach, I believe this locker room knew he could be the guy. But now there's no question outside the program, the fan base, they know who's at the helm of this ship.
There's no secret to LSU's success this season if they are to have it. It's going to come from their backfield, and they have a real superstar in running back Darius Geis.
Yeah, and not many times are you replacing a legend at running back in a 4th overall NFL draft pick, and nobody thinks there's a drop-off. Darius Geis is an elite talent. He has a rare combination of speed, explosiveness, and the physicality to run through you or run over you. Flat out, he just runs angry. That's what I love about this kid. Really no secret, even with this new Matt Canada offense, who's going to be getting the ball. No secret in the SEC and conference play as well. As we saw last year, they stacked the box. LSU led the Power 5 with 55% of their rushes coming against an 8-man box, and Darius Geis still ripped off about 6 yards a carry. This new Matt Canada offense going to get him the ball in creative ways so we can still get those touches and have that same success.
Forever, LSU's identity was forged on the defensive side of the ball. Last year it was a top 10 defense, and it looks once again like they're going to be just that good again this season. But they might go about it in different ways. More on that. Let's take you down the field. We say good evening to Cole Kubelik.
Tom, glad to have you in. You look at this LSU defense, top 10 last year. I think they have the ability and the personnel to do it again. It will look different. I kind of look at this as switching vehicles. You put the BYU tape on, and it's not the bigger, bulkier defense that you saw from LSU a season ago. Almost going from an SUV to a sports car this season. They're faster, they're leaner, they're sleeker. This could be a little bit different defense for Matt Canada, more the way that he wants it. Still young, 4 freshmen started, 7 played on that side of the football against BYU, but the talent is there to match or surpass the expectations from what they did a season ago.
All right, Cole, thanks. Dave Aranda was a revelation on the defensive side of the ball as a coordinator last year for this LSU team. And now Chattanooga comes to town, and if you're familiar with their program, you know that they have a great history, but there's been a changing of the guard. Russ Huseman, their longtime coach, one of their winningest coaches, and a Chattanooga graduate, left the program. He hands it off to Tom Arth, who last year was a Division III Coach of the Year at Carroll College in Ohio. He is a offensive mind, and he's a quarterback as a head coach.
Yeah, and I think this is one thing. If we talked to Dave Aranda yesterday, he didn't really know what this offense is going to look like. They watched UT Martin film, Tennessee Tech film, John Carroll film. Interesting to see what Arth is going to do with this offense, with the amount of transfers they have on roster and the youth they have as well.
The one highlight for Chattanooga coming in is that even though they're without their starting quarterback Alejandro Benefield, they have a guy with SEC ties who will take snaps tonight. Nick Tiano comes from the Baylor School in Chattanooga, but he started his college career at Mississippi State. Saw action about this time last year for Dan Mullen's Bulldogs and a former backup to Dak Prescott. You hope, if you're Chattanooga and you're Tom Arth, that he's not going to be overwhelmed by the atmosphere in here tonight. Easier said than done when you come to Death Valley.
Yeah, Tom, I never got a chance to play here, probably fortunately enough, but this is an environment unlike any other. It's a good thing Tiano was actually a part of the Mississippi State team that played here just a year ago, so he's not going to be a stranger to this type of environment.
LSU about ready to kick off their home season, coming off of a shutout win against BYU. And here in Tiger Stadium, it'll be Cameron Gamble to get us started. Joseph Parker is back to return for Chattanooga. It's the 94th season of football here in Tiger Stadium, and we started off under the lights in a night game, just as it's supposed to be. And Ogeron was concerned about the special teams. Kickoff coverage looks pretty good to start, but we've got a flag on this opening kick. David Smith is our referee.
Offside on the kicking team, number 17. 5-yard penalty will be added on the touchback spot. First down.
I spoke too soon about the special team success here early. Drawing the ire of Coach Ogeron after last week's win against BYU. Maybe the only thing that didn't go great for him. Here's Nick Tiano, 6'5", 240-pound sophomore. A Chattanooga native. Tiano against Jacksonville State week 0 went 23 of 43 for 218 yards. He's got Darrell Bridges in the backfield next to him. And Bridges on the first snap will find a little bit of room on the left side before Devin White brings him down with some help from Glenn Logan. This is a Chattanooga team which lost its opener 27-13 a couple of weeks ago in the first game under head coach Tom Arth, former backup to Peyton Manning with the Indianapolis Colts. And ahead of schedule after that first down run at 2nd and 6 out of the shotgun for Tiano. And incomplete. Had a receiver open but couldn't haul it in. It was Joseph Parker. So that'll bring up 3rd and 6, and now you have to face that speed that Cole was talking about and this very talented front four from LSU. They can come at you from all angles. Dave Aranda said we want to get a better push up front, and you may see more blitzes this week than they saw and showed against BYU.
Tom, even Aranda mentioned, especially on 3rd downs, and this is a 3rd and passing situation here. Wanted to see his pass rush step up. You're going to see a 4-man front. You're going to see them rush the passer, get upfield. They're wide right now. Tiano's going to have to get this ball off in a hurry.
Terry Vincent is the nickel back. And it is complete over the middle for a first down and a gain of 11. Right back to Parker, who had 6 catches for 56 yards in their early loss to Jacksonville State.
Great 2 early calls there. Slant routes get Tiano comfortable. Parker there's a guy that in this offense they call their Wes Welker. Works really well out of the slot. Going to be utilizing him in space. I like the early calls for Tiano. Get him comfortable. Weather the storm early. Short, easy throws so they can get into a rhythm.
Coach's son Jacob Huseman had been their quarterback the last couple of years. It's a change in scheme in many ways offensively for the Mocs. Out of the eye, play action. And deep down the sideline, caught for a first down. It's Alfonso Stewart. And it's a gain of 22. Mocs have come out firing here tonight.
Tom Arth mentioned that Tiano was tailor-made for this offense. This is a big-time throw here. Coverage over the top. You put it on the back hip. Great adjustment there by Stewart to reel that one in. I mean, really good coverage there by Deontay Jackson playing over the top. But you cannot defend against a well-placed back shoulder ball. That's a savvy throw by a guy who hasn't played a ton of football in Nick Tiano.
He hadn't played a game in about 2 years before that start against Jacksonville State to open the season. Trying to set up the screen, and he overshoots Darrell Bridges, another Chattanooga native.
Tiano's going to wish he had this one back. Pressure in his face, but you're going to see that on a screen. You know that as a quarterback. If he completes that, It was one block, and that one could have gone for big yardage there.
Donnie Alexander back on the field, one of many that did not see action due to suspension week number 1 against BYU. That defense was stout last week. They didn't allow the Cougars to cross the 50. So already the Mocs with a little bit more success than the boys from Provo. Multiple shifts for Chattanooga. Empty backfield, and Tiano through the hands of Joseph Parker, the Wyoming transfer. Talking with the coaches this week, they talked about being a game plan offense, and obviously they see something they like through the air.
Yeah, they're seeing spacing, especially with their slot receivers. Tiano just missed high on the last 2 throws. Got to reel him back in here and have tight man-to-man coverage on the outside. Someone's going to have to win.
Movement up front. LSU crossed the line. And it was Donnie Alexander, the senior from Edna Carr in New Orleans, who crossed over.
Number 48 on the defense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
5 of Chattanooga's first 6 play calls have been passes against Dave Aranda's defense, a top 10 defense last year, number 13 in the country against the run. They sent about a half dozen guys from that defense on to the NFL. And last week against BYU, it looked like they hadn't skipped a beat.
It's surprising, Tom, because this is a young defense. They had 4 true freshmen start last week. Aranda even said, hey, I think we only have like 3 calls in.
Yeah.
A very simple defense. We're trying to let these guys play fast and play in space.
Here's 3rd and 5. That's complete, but short of the sticks. They needed 5. They got 2 on the catch by James Stovall. Dante Jackson had the coverage, maybe the fastest guy in college football.
If I'm Tom Arth, I am keeping my offense on the field here. Too much momentum too early in this game. A great first drive. Opportunity to cap it off here and continue pushing towards the end zone. Wouldn't be surprised if they try to get Tiano outside the pocket, something to the open side of the field there. Utilize that space that they've been so successful with early on in this drive.
They converted 58% of their 4th downs last week. Wide splits on the right side of that line. Play clock's at 5. It's at 1, and they just get it off. Fires to the outside, complete to his tight end, Bailey Lenore, who motioned just before the snap. And if there's anything this LSU defense should be familiar with, it should be the shifts and motions that they see every day from their offense.
Yeah, that's one thing that makes it tough in spring practice when you're trying to implement a defense with a bunch of young guys, but this shifting and motion is something they see every day in practice. That's just a great pick play by design, a legal pick play. The outside receiver kind of got in the way of the linebacker. They're supposed to get that tight end and underneath coverage. Great play call there to keep this drive going.
4 completions to 4 different receivers for Nick Tiano, the Mississippi State transfer. Only the 2nd run of this opening drive, and Darrell Bridges is bottled up by a host of Tigers, including the freshman Caleb Chason and Christian Lockature wearing that number 18 for LSU.
And Chason's a guy that everybody inside that locker room, all the coaches are raving about, the athletic ability. You couple that with the seniority and the experience of a guy like Christian Lockature. They have a perfect mixture of really some old guys that can provide a presence and some leadership and a lot of young talent on that defense.
10th play of the opening drive for Chattanooga out of the Southern Conference. 0-1 on the season. To throw again. Tiano running out of time. Chase from the pocket. And a well-earned handful of yards. We got a flag at the tail end after Donnie Alexander came up and stuck the quarterback. Greg Gilmore was the man who chased him out of the pocket.
Good job by Tiano, knowing his clock's going off, get outside the pocket. And this is something that John Battle's going to want back.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 26 on the defense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal, automatic 1st down.
It's junior John Battle. It's already the 3rd flag against LSU. Ed Orgeron's team committed a penalty on the opening kickoff.
Battle's got to know that quarterback even starts to slide. You got to let him go. they're going to mark that even where he starts his slide anyway, so you're not keeping him from any extra yardage. Got to stay off that quarterback. It's hard when you're playing fast, but battles a guy. It's a junior in that back end, one of the leaders and guys with more seniority on that defense. He's got to know better than that.
First and goal for Chattanooga. And we got a timeout on the field. Tiano with a hot start. 4 of 7 to 4 different receivers. Back to Baton Rouge in a moment. While we were away, the replay booth led by Doug Linebarger initiated a chance to look at this in replay to see if it was targeting. They say it wasn't. John Battle will stay in the game. I think there's probably an argument that that was forcible contact to the head or neck area.
Yeah, it could go both ways, and usually you're looking at a player that in the secondary is lunging up towards the upper body, but with the quarterback going down, you see him change his hat level as well. That's one that really could have gone either way. The lucky thing is he kind of pulled his head to the side, so he avoided that crown of the helmet contact.
It was already a personal foul, so half the distance. Opening drive for Chattanooga. Tiano to the fade. Knocked away. Andreas Williams, the freshman who started against BYU and came away with a pick, is able to make the big-time play there.
And they're trying to take advantage of a slight height advantage with Alfonso Stewart, the 6'3" receiver out there, but a great job by Williams, Greedy Williams out there, using his body to close the gap of the receiver and then playing the ball, turning around. Had a pick last week, almost in a similar situation. It was a little further downfield, but turned into a really good player on the outside for them.
This is the 12th play of the opening drive for Chattanooga. And Bridges stops just short of the 5. Big gain of 2 and leaves 3rd and goal from outside the 5 for the Mocs.
LSU playing a lot of man defense on this first drive here, Tom. I wouldn't be surprised if they spread them out, try to use that space with their slot receivers that they've had success with a few times already this drive. Got to get the ball into the end zone. If I'm Chattanooga and I'm calling a play here, don't want that to come up short.
4 different receivers have catches on this opening drive for Chattanooga. 3rd and goal. Tiano given all day, and he'll fire it out of the back of the end zone. His receiver that side was double covered, trying to find Coda Nix. And that'll bring on the kicking team for Chattanooga. And Victor Olmo continues the tradition of Brazilians in the kicking role for Chattanooga from Baylor School. Enrique Rivera was a 3-year kicker. Ran out of his eligibility. Colin Brewer is the holder. This will be a 22-yard attempt for Olmo. And he just sneaks it in the left upright. And so Chattanooga does something that BYU wasn't able to do. They put points on the board, and they lead LSU after a 6-minute opening drive. Opening drive for Chattanooga, and the Mocs threw it 10 of their first 13 plays. And will eat 6 minutes off the clock here in the home opener for LSU and take a lead. Darius Geis, preseason first-team All-American. He's a Baton Rouge native out of Catholic High School right here in Baton Rouge. Let's take a look at Darius's journey, fueled by Pilot Flying J. He grew up just down the road in an area of Baton Rouge known as the Bottom. In his youth, playing for the South Baton Rouge Jaguars, they played at Expressway Park. It's a football field that lies between the east and westbound lanes of Interstate 10 underneath the elevated overpasses. That's where he grew his game before moving on to Catholic High School. And a rough background for Darius. His brother has been in and out of jail. His father was shot and killed when Darius was just 6 years old. The last conversation a young Darius Geis had with his dad, Derek, was that he was going to be the best running back to ever come out of Baton Rouge. He was going to play at LSU, and he was going to make it to the NFL. Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the kickoff return for LSU. And now Darius Geis takes the field for LSU in the home opener for the junior. came into the season averaging 7.8 yards per carry in his career. That would be better than Bo Jackson's Southeastern Conference career record. He went for $122 and 2 touchdowns against BYU last week, talking about his rough upbringing, having to grow up fast. He said, "I run angry." But he's always got a smile on his face.
I was just going to say, even more so, his energy, his smile, his love for the game, and the humility that he has was the most shocking part about being and spending some time around him.
A little bit of motion early, and Derek Dillon takes off on the jet sweep just as LSU opened the game against BYU, but this time going with the wide receiver. Quarterback Danny Etling is finally healthy. Back surgery after the spring game, and he's got a little bit more juice on his passes. A Purdue transfer, really in his second year as a starter here. And incomplete, trying to work the passing game in Dillon. What do you like about Danny Etling's game?
Well, I think he's playing his best football right now. A guy that he's never not been in competition. Even in competition this spring and grumblings of it this summer with Miles Brennan. He's had 3 head coaches, 4 offensive coordinators, and now he is playing his best football. Matt Canada is maximizing his skill set. Obviously, the ball is coming out of his hand with a little more pop. We talked to him extensively about his injury that he had last season, some of the limitations that he felt. He is playing at a high level right now.
He was 14 of 17 against BYU in week 1, and even though he didn't throw a touchdown pass, he also didn't turn it over. And a high completion percentage. Directing traffic here, and he escapes a pocket and takes off to midfield. Etling slides in with a first down before Keon Edwards could get to him. It's a 17-yard scramble for the senior.
Speaking of that injury, not sure this is something that he would have felt comfortable or had the confidence to do last year. Tuck this and win with speed down the middle, obviously staying smart at the end. But Matt Canada, Coach Orgeron, all focused on the fact that they need him to protect the football, be a game manager, not in a bad way, but manage this team, get him in the right scenarios, and protect the football.
John David Moore is the fullback in front of Geis. Jacoby Stevens is on the field for the first time, the 18th freshman to see the field for LSU already this season. This is Darius Geis, and he takes some hard licks but fights his way for a gain of 11 and an LSU first down.
This is the skill set that we see with Darius Geis. Just a counter. Got 2 guys pulling for him. He bounces outside with the athleticism and this controlled anger as he knows how to finish a run. And I love, he gets right up, pops the guy on the helmet, probably had a smile on his face, trotted back to the huddle.
5'11", 218 pounds. They're going to overload the right side with KJ Malone. And they're going to run straight ahead with Geis. And that's the first example for this LSU offense of how new offensive coordinator Matt Canada likes to mix things up to find better leverage for his offensive players.
Yeah, and if you're new to Canada's offense, or if you're wondering what this is going to look like or why so many motions pre-snap, it's creating leverage, it's creating confusion on the defensive side of the ball with alignment and a hesitation of responsibility. So even though they went tackle over to the right, they ended up running to the left as the defense adjusts.
And Canada, the far right of that picture with the highlighter, came in after a great season at Pitt. Play action, Etling looking deep, end zone shot, touchdown LSU and Drake Davis. Shifts, motion, play fake, sliding hand, and then Etling going over the top. That's what this offense will look like when it's humming.
Completely sold by the play action, a jet motion in orbit, faking the reverse, and no safety playing deep because his eyes were in the backfield. Great design, wide open, easy throw.
Jack Gonsolon with the point after, and LSU wastes no time. A 6-play, 72-yard drive. Watch Drake Davis go to work, the Baton Rouge native, with a touchdown reception, his first career.
SEC Saturday Night is presented by Holiday Inn Express. Be the readiest. Well, the LSU fans got what they were looking for, an opening drive score.
from Matt Canada's offense. A little bit of Darius Geis, a little bit of Danny Etling, and Drake Davis, former soccer standout, is able to haul it in. And he's out there on the kickoff coverage team. Cameron Gamble will put it in the air for LSU. Joseph Parker back to return. And another one through the back of the end zone. Let's take a look at Danny Etling's touchdown pass, his 12th as an LSU Tiger.
Yeah, Tom, this is beautiful by Canada. It's an orbit, arc release motion, selling a reverse, and you're also going to see run action with the guard pulling. That's going to suck up the eyes of the linebacker, but more importantly, this safety right here is going to bite up with his eyes and leave him for nobody on the back end and a wide open, easy pitch and catch. Drake Davis, a guy they're really excited about, wanting him to get going, be more consistent. Great start for him and Danny Etling in this Matt Canada offense.
A couple of deep shots for Etling last week with play action, but for the most part, his 14 completions were kind of dink and dunks and not a whole lot of air underneath the ball.
Yeah, Tom, I think he only averaged about 7 yards per attempt, which is relatively low for his career average. They did hit a few big shots. Those shots as well were off play action, run action, stealing the eyes of the secondary and opening up big holes on that back end.
Darrell Bridges gets chased down by Christian Locketcher. Pickup of 7 on first down for Chattanooga. All right, well, we sold this LSU defense, and they looked magnificent last week against BYU. They shut down the Cougars. They held it to -5 rush yards, the fewest for LSU since Ole Miss went -50 back in 1982. What are we seeing different from LSU's defense for the first drive on a play tonight?
Well, it's simplicity. You're seeing up front, they're trying to play physical, playing a lot of man coverage. You see here, actually, they're coming out in zone. Learned a little bit from that first drive. They were getting beat.
And so Chattanooga counters with the swing pass to Bridges, and he's able to pick up another first down. Bridges is one of a handful of transfers on this Chattanooga team. He started his college career as a Blue Hose at Presbyterian. Went over 2,000 rush yards with Presbyterian College. When Tom Arth came in from John Carroll, they recognized that they needed to get some transfers in to shore up this roster, and they didn't waste much time. They have 20 transfers on this Mocs roster. Play action. Tiano over the middle. Towards the coverage of Dante Jackson and incomplete to Alfonso Stewart. Let's check in with Cole Kublik.
Well, Tom, one thing I think that's going to help this defense progress and grow throughout the season is defensive line coach Pete Jenkins, an absolute legend across the landscape of college football. And LSU fans know him well. It's only his third stop here in Baton Rouge as an assistant coach. He was the first call that Ed Orgeron made when he got the job here at LSU, got the interim job. Brought Pete Jenkins in, knew he was somebody to have on staff. Line coach, but also as an assistant to how he was going to be the head coach of this team.
So much respect in that relationship, and in many relationships when you talk about the job the 76-year-old Pete Jenkins has done and does. Coach Orgeron described him as a mentor, a friend, and a calming influence. And there's also obviously X's and O's involved. When they're at USC, he helped turn them around from a 4-3 to a 3-4. Dave Aranda did the same thing when he got to Utah State and then to Wisconsin. And now Aranda in his second season here at LSU, and movement again up front from a Tiger. That time it's Greg Gilmore, the senior who's making his 14th consecutive start tonight.
Tom, the only returning starter on that D-line, he's a heck of a player. They're trying to get faster up there. He'll stay in on some passing downs. They'll take him out on others. Pay attention here, though, on this third down in a passing situation. Bottom of your screen, number 23, Corey Thompson. He's a sixth-year senior. Right down here, sixth-year senior. He's a 4.45 speed guy. They're really excited about him rushing off the edge in these third down situations.
Ton of speed on the field for LSU. The fastest defense Ed Orgeron says he has ever seen. And Chattanooga uses a timeout here. It's their first. They'll talk about it, facing a 3rd and 5 on the road at LSU after scoring on their opening possession. Welcome back, Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Another night game here where they have dominated, and they've dominated overall the nation's longest non-conference regular season win streak. They've won 47 in a row here at home. They haven't lost a non-conference game since UAB came in here in 2000. It's the 6th longest streak in the history of college football. On 3rd and 5. Nick Tiano chased out of the pocket again, lowers his shoulder, and is able to pick up the first down. He went right into John Battle and picks up 8.
Really pleased, I'm sure, is Tom Arth with the decision-making here of Nick Tiano. Going through his reads, going through his progressions, not panicking in the pocket. He's holding in there. Then the last minute making plays with his feet. I tell you, there's only 6'5", 240. He can move, Tom, and he finishes that run as well.
He takes off like that. He kind of looks a little bit like a guy he shared a film room with a couple of years ago in Starkville when he was redshirting behind Dak Prescott. Darrell Bridges picks up 4. What an opening for this Chattanooga team. I mean, they come in against a loss to top 5 FCS team in Jacksonville State, where they really had trouble moving the football. But a score on their opening drive when Tom Arth's team went for it on a 4th down and converted. Mainly through the air with Nick Tiano. And already past midfield for the 2nd time, something BYU didn't accomplish in its entire game last week in New Orleans. Empty backfield again. Tiano looking to Parker, the Wyoming transfer. He's got it for a first down, chased by Donnie Alexander.
Tiano's pass is complete.
I'll tell you the guy that I'm watching for this Chattanooga offense is our most experienced offensive lineman, Josh Cardiello. 27 career starts at center. He's been great helping out in pass protection so far. Nice in double teams, getting a little bit of movement in the run game. You can see his experience paying off against a more talented LSU defensive line.
Well, it helps that he is also an SEC talent in many ways. A Georgia transfer, preseason first team All-SoCon selection, one of 20 transfers on this Chattanooga roster. Alex Trotter in the game for the first time. And Trotter gets stood up and stuffed. Donnie Alexander with some help. Gain of 2. Grant Delpit was also there. A handful of freshmen on the defensive side for LSU. At one point last week, Dave Aranda's defensive unit had 7 freshmen on the field for the first time. He said, this is more teaching than I've ever done as a coach, because you fail to remember sometimes that if you don't teach the freshmen some of these schemes and language, they just don't know it. You can't assume that they know anything, so it's starting from square one with many of them. 4-man rush. Complete to the perimeter. But there's Delpit, the freshman from Houston again, stopping Joseph Parker as it goes incomplete.
And Delpit's a guy they love. Similar comparisons already to Jamal Adams, which is lofty for a true freshman. But not only is he have the ability to close on routes like that and finish with tackles, but he plays very well and very physical against the run as well. One of those freshmen this defense and Dave Aranda is really, really excited about.
That is a lofty comparison. Here comes the blitz up the middle. Complete to the edge that time, but nothing doing. A gain of 2, and it's going to leave him short. Andreas Williams comes up to stick Alfonso Stewart.
Andreas Williams is playing well. The interception last week already broke up a pass in the end zone on the earlier drive. 6'2", 182-pound redshirt freshman, so he's old by standards of their defense right now, but emerging as a very, very talented cover corner already, when we all thought it was going to be Kevin Tolliver on that side of the field.
Chattanooga uses its 2nd timeout as they look at a 4th and 6. Well, our buddies Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears pulled it off. The inaugural episode of Thinking Out Loud was a doozy Monday night at 7 p.m. It'll be back. It's also available streaming live on the ESPN app. And you can participate in the show via social media and live call-ins throughout the show. And that's what we're doing Monday night. We're going to call in to Thinking Out Loud.
Absolutely. First of all, I don't know why Greg McElroy is wearing a blazer. Like, come on, it's an analyst show. Wear a T-shirt. Like,
no, he had a T-shirt on underneath the blazer.
He was like half it. He was non-committal.
At least he wasn't wearing a half zip.
We should definitely call in though. I mean, that's a riot. That's a great show. Huge personalities. Marcus Spear just needs a really big fan, because when he starts getting heated, he starts sweating.
Our guy Jay Stu, the researcher, even makes some appearances on that show.
The best-dressed guy.
Yes, yeah. Those other two dudes shouldn't put up with that. They're going to run a D lineman on late, and they're going to run out their nickelback Kerry Vincent.
Some confusion on the defensive side.
Chattanooga has already converted 1 4th down. This is 4th and 6. Tiano chase, pressure comes, and they drop him in the backfield. Devin White with a host of his friends. It's a loss of 7. John Battle will also get credit for a sack.
Devin White had his first career start last week against BYU. He's a guy they love in pressure. And this is just a delayed blitz. He's reading the running back. The running back doesn't pick anybody up. He comes late. And with John Battle both providing the pressure there, just didn't have anybody open downfield to Tiano. You'd love for him to try to get the ball out of his hands, even if it's an interception. It ends up being a punt. Great job providing late pressure there from the linebacker in the secondary with White and Battle.
So a turnover on downs. And Entling looking deep. He's throwing into coverage, and it's still caught. What a play on the ball by Stephon Sullivan. It's an LSU first down, 46 yards.
And Tom, as that ball went up, it was in double coverage. And I was thinking, no, that can't be the read. And then you realize that Stephon Sullivan is a 6'6", 235-pound sophomore receiver out there. If there's anybody you want to throw a jump ball up to, it's that guy right there. Great job of Entling knowing his personnel. KYP, as we called it. Know your personnel. Throw it up to a big guy like that.
And Ogeron told us we're looking for some playmakers outside. Here's Darius Geis. He's able to rip off a 5-yard gain before Isaiah Mack comes in. This is an offense that they want to be high-powered. Pitt averaged 41 points a game last year. But the pro-style offense that they're taking over for didn't have a bevy of wide receivers. I mean, outside of DJ Chark, there's basically no returning production from that unit.
No, you got Russell Gage, who played DB his first couple years. You got Jacoby Stevens, who was a #1 safety recruit, now coming over on the offensive side of the ball. And a lot of guys that just haven't played at all. So this is great to see early some chemistry with Entling and his young receivers.
Chark's at the top of the formation. Entling will give it to Geis again. Geis spins his way towards the goal line. He is down at the 1, and we've got a flag on the play. You mentioned it earlier. It's not very often you lose a top 5 pick to the NFL draft and you don't skip a beat at that position. And that's what Darius Geis has provided for LSU already this season, and when Leonard Fournette got hurt last year.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense, number 5. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Derek McHaffey got his hands on the face mask. First and goal from the goal line. Williams in motion. Geis shuffles his feet, ducks his head, and ducks into the end zone. We have a flag on the play. We have 2 of them. One came late. Second touchdown run of the season for Geis. It caps a 4-play, 57-yard drive. And most of those yards coming on the big pass to Stephon Sullivan. David Smith again.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 5 on the offense. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. We'll have the try.
You know, I think that might have just been for a coordinated celebration. You saw Geis, and I believe Williams there, the little celebration. Something I've seen him do before, so I don't know what was different about that one, but they didn't like it.
One more and he's ejected, so not to be taken lightly. LSU has scored on each of its 2 possessions. Darius Geis with a 1-yard touchdown run. And Ogeron's team has taken a 14-3 lead. And they've done it with another big play. This one covered 46 yards off play action.
And again, another great play action sell by Danny Etling. We really only saw him push the ball deep down the middle of the field once against BYU, already twice tonight. And then great job by Geis with a little stutter step, side step at the goal line, being patient. Boy, he's something.
Etling has 2 completions through 2 possessions, and they've covered 82 yards.
Pretty good average.
Yeah, if he can keep it up. It's Shea Patterson-like numbers. How about that dude who set an Ole Miss record today through the air? Cole, what do you got?
Speaking of pushing the ball down the field in the air, Tom, I spoke to Matt Canada, the LSU offensive coordinator, before the game. I said, will there be a concerted effort to try and push the ball down the field more, take more deep shots? He said, listen, I told you guys the plan in our meetings. That's not going to change. I'm not getting away from it. We take what this defense gives us. If I see something, I'll attack it. But I'm not necessarily going to go and try to just throw the ball down the field to make receivers, quarterbacks, or fans happy.
That's Canada on the far right in the purple LSU shirt against the wall. He describes himself as an answer guy. Everything he does for a reason when you talk about his play calling and how he sets up his scheme.
Yeah, he really doesn't want his quarterback to be overcomplicated at the line of scrimmage. Look, if a play gets busted or broken through, we have an answer. We have something that we'll call the next time. So you're seeing that with the defense coming up, playing hard against the run action. They've now twice been able to take advantage of it.
Joseph Parker able to take it to the 28-yard line on the return for Chattanooga. A score on the Mocs opening drive. Behind quarterback Nick Tiano. We haven't seen Ricardre Bagley, who's a great receiver out of the backfield for Chattanooga and listed as their starting running back. Darrell Bridges, the senior, got the start today in the backfield, but nothing out of Bagley just yet. Got to find an answer on that for you. Terez Finney will motion into the backfield. They'll go out of the eye here. And Bridges into the teeth of that LSU defense for 2.
And interesting, because when we talked to Tom Arth about his offense, thought he was going to be a focal point.
So we'll try to solve that mystery for Chattanooga. No mystery about this LSU offense. 2 big shots through the air off of play action. And the Louisiana native leads his team on the field. Meanwhile, the Purdue transfer has led his squad to an early lead through a quarter in Death Valley. Let's take a look at our tailgaters of the week, brought to you by Zaxby's. There is no scene like it, the tailgating here in Baton Rouge, but buddy, we had a missed opportunity. Wow. My dear friend Ben McDonald, the former LSU great and the first-round pick, he's out of town. He's doing Orioles games on radio this weekend. He was going to introduce you and I to Coubion. Have you ever had Coubion?
I don't think I have, but whatever he's dishing out of there, I'll take some of that.
We can arrange it.
How did we not get in the tailgating seat, Tom? What were we doing?
I don't know. That's a wrinkle we need to iron out. Tiano handles the low snap and pressured and sacked. They get to him for a second time. It's Corey Thompson coming off the edge. The senior from the Houston area, and Thompson has real speed.
Cardiello had 3 bad low snaps left last week as well. It's so difficult as a quarterback to take your eyes off the defense, even if it is that half a second. It really allowed Corey Thompson to get in there, a guy that I said look out for early. 6-year senior, got a special place in my heart. He's a 24-year-old, as I was my senior year. I was a 6th-year guy as well. Boy, if he stays healthy, he is one explosive pass rusher off the edge.
He runs a 4.4 40. 3rd and 12, 4-man rush. They hit the quarterback Tiano, and coverage on the back end on the completion of Parker limits it to a 5-yard gain. You didn't really ask about the Coubion, though. I'm a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, what is it?
It's one of those.
I was mesmerized by whatever he was dishing out of the garbage can.
It's one of those Cajun dishes that if you are offered it, and you will be because the hospitality, you don't say no, and you don't ask what's in it. Because if you dig around, according to our guy Ben McDonald, you're going to find a catfish head floating in the bottom of that thing. And it may not look appetizing, but it tastes delicious. 4th and 8, Colin Brewer to punt it away. Might be able to find some Kubion before we leave the stadium tonight. From the 21-yard line, flag on the play, big return, DJ Chark. Chark takes it and breaks it to the outside. He's going to take it the distance. A 79-yard return for DJ Chark. The flag is back at the 29. Oddly enough, DJ Chark is used in the return game because of his reliability with his hands.
Number 33 on the receiving team. Penalty is 10 yards from the spot. First down.
There are some guys that are faster, like Dante Jackson, who haven't been as reliable. And Chark, nicknamed Smooth from his Little League days, look like that. They'll bring it back. It'll be LSU ball. LSU with the early lead on Chattanooga, 14-3. And the Tigers under Danny Etling have hit some big shots downfield. See if they can go after the Mocs again. Darrell Williams in the backfield now for LSU as Darius Geis gets a breather. That's Foster Morrow shifting out of the tight end spot. In motion for Jacoby Stevens. Play action again. Etling wants a deep one. Crossing route. There's the freshman Stevens. His first catch. And as the stadium lights up, so does Stevens. It's a gain of 27.
And Tom, we were talking about Matt Canada having answers. Well, they've hit a couple big ones deep over the top of the safety's heads. Not this time. So you run a guy right underneath Jacoby Stevens. Guy they're hoping to be a big role in this offense. Big physical receiver. Jumped over from safety this fall camp. But that's an answer, right? They didn't bite on the deep one, so you got something running underneath this time.
Here's Darrell Williams. Past midfield. You kind of start. Are you starting to hear Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in your head right now?
I was just wondering what's going on.
Tiger Stadium is lit up with everybody flashing their phones.
Get in on this action.
There you go. I don't know if they counted on any flashing coming from the broadcast booth.
Hey, it's my first time in Death Valley. I'm gonna partake.
Starlight, star bright. Yeah, I got it too. Second down and 3. The senior Williams with another opportunity here. Flag on the play. Williams motoring over people. He's in much better shape now than he was last season. 4-star out of John Aaron in Marrero, Louisiana, his hometown.
Holding number 78 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, second down.
Williams went from 240 pounds to 225 as we see the penalty up front.
And a tackle over power. Just gets his hands on the outside a little too long. Something I'm still waiting to see, Tom, here. We watched the film last week with BYU. Didn't really see anything big break in the run game. We're always 1 or 2 blocks away from something really hitting long, 20, 30, 40 yards. Guys had a long of 13, I believe. So the passing game has been a positive tonight, the ability to hit the ball downfield, but still waiting for them to break one and be explosive like we're used to seeing in this run game, whether it's Williams or Geis.
Williams did that with a big game against Missouri last year for $130. Etling is going to uncork another deep down the sideline. Caught for another LSU first down, and it's DJ Chark. The senior from Alexandria, Louisiana, repping the 318, and he takes it for 46.
And what an unbelievable throw here by Etling. Look at the eye control. And this right here is a dime. DJ Chark, the second leading receiver last year. Most experienced guy they got coming back. Boy, that's like a long handoff there when you throw that accurate of a ball from Etling. Really impressed with his accuracy downfield.
Here's a toss to Williams. Gets hit behind the line of scrimmage, no gain. Danny Etling has completions of 46, 46, 36, and 27 yards. He is averaging 39 yards per completion today.
And Tom, that's something that I don't know if he would have had the confidence or maybe even the velocity or arm strength to do last year with his injury. I mean, talking to him about the limitations with his lower body, with the low back injury, a herniated disc at times, his left leg. would almost go numb. So he didn't have his base, didn't have the velocity or really the confidence to make those throws. He has no limitations tonight.
2nd down 10. Etling pulls it back and will run. You're into quarterback numbers. Is a passer rating of 406.4 good? And you mentioned it. The back bothered him so much last year. Yeah, I didn't know that either. And it was bothering him so much in the spring that Matt Canada was getting frustrated with. Why can't you make these passes? Why can't you make these right decisions? And there were so many physical limitations that now he tells us he feels like a new quarterback in many ways.
Yeah, and Tom, I actually got a chance to see him at the Manning Passing Academy this summer. Very fresh off his surgery. Ball still really wasn't jumping out of his hands, kind of struggled pushing the ball downfield. Boy, he is a different player. Seeing him in practice yesterday and seeing him push the ball downfield tonight, he's a different guy.
On 3rd and 8, checking and chased, and Etling will throw it away. And Matt Canada's got no problem with that decision from Danny Etling, who threw 5 picks last year. And we've got intentional grounding, so actually he may have an issue.
Intentional grounding, number 16 on the offense. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Also includes a loss of down, be 3rd down.
Didn't get it to the line of scrimmage.
This is the ability right here that he really just didn't have last year. As a quarterback, though, you know, you got to get it back to the line of scrimmage. It's a tough throw all the way across your body, sprinting to the left.
So loss of down and 4th down for LSU. Sophomore out of Baton Rouge Catholic, Jack Gonsolon, is on for a 40-yard attempt. Swirling breeze here at Tiger Stadium tonight, and this one leaking right. It is no good. Gonsolon misses from 40, and LSU comes up short. After the penalty against Etling, who brought loss of down, and for the first time, LSU can't cash in. Wednesday, the SEC Network grants you an all-access pass to Mizzou football for their game tonight against South Carolina. It's a 14-10 lead for the Gamecocks. How about Deebo Samuel? Another kickoff return for a score. It's his 2nd of the season. Took the opening kick back against NC State last week. He went 97 against Mizzou tonight. It's SEC Inside, presented by Regions Bank, also streaming live on the ESPN app. Battle of the Columbias tonight at Faurot Field. Nick Tiano working without his first-string running back tonight. Darrell Bridges has seen extensive action due to the injury to Ricardre Bagley. Bagley, the senior from Powder Springs, Georgia, injured his knee in practice this week. He will not play tonight, and he is unavailable to the mocks. He averaged 5.5 yards a carry and scored 5 touchdowns for an offense last year, which was one of the top scoring offenses in the FCS. They averaged 34 points a game, the 2nd most in school history. Triple receivers to the right side, and they'll empty the backfield with Joseph Parker to the left. Blitz coming up the middle from White. Incomplete, trying to find Parker.
You know, Tom, with Bagley out, when we were talking to Arth and we were asking about his offense, his philosophy, he said we're very multiple, varied personnel groups and formations, kind of akin to the Patriots or the Saints. He gave us the illustration. And Bagley, he said, is their Sproles guy. Guy they move all over the field. He's their motion guy. Try to get him the ball in creative ways. I think we're seeing him go a lot more spread now without Bagley in there, utilizing him in and out of the backfield. That's a big loss, though, to not have him out there.
Tom Arth was a big hire for this Chattanooga program, coming off of a Coach of the Year award at Division III John Carroll. Blitz again up the middle. This time it's Thornton, and it is incomplete. Arth took a phone call from the search committee for Chattanooga when he was at the John Carroll Christmas party. He showed up just a couple days later. That was the Christmas party was on Thursday. He actually showed up for the interview on Friday with a plan so detailed it had the name of the school cafeteria on their mock daily schedule. He blew away the search committee.
You think he wanted that job?
He's always been a detail-oriented guy from his time as a quarterback in college and in the NFL. Got some SEC ties there as well. Chark lets this one go. It'll be down inside the 30. In fact, let's take a look at how Chattanooga head coach Tom Arth is the readiest this week. Brought to you by Holiday Inn Express. When he was Peyton Manning's backup with the Colts, Peyton trusted him enough to give him these responsibilities. On a weekly basis, he would break down NFL film for Manning. These 5 issues: third down concepts, red zone concepts, exotic pressures, two-point conversion plays, and deceptive plays. It's an awful lot of trust for a Hall of Famer like Peyton Manning to put in Tom Arth's lap.
Yeah, if a guy like Peyton Manning's not watching a few games, you better be sure that he has full trust in what that guy is seeing. And just that speaks volumes about what Peyton Manning thought of Tom Arth and his ability. And even they said, as Tom was playing, said, "You're going to be a great coach someday." He goes, "Wait, I want to be a great player right now.
Right.
Don't push me out the door yet." But just speaks volumes about his offensive mind, that Peyton Manning, one of the greatest that we've seen, would give him that responsibility.
Tom Arth was injured when he first showed up to Colts camp from his senior year in college, and so Peyton Manning pulled him aside and said, "Hey, you're going to be here all year, right?" "Well, yeah, I
hope so.
I certainly hope so." "Okay, if you're going to be here all year, come with me. We're going to the film room. You're going to see how I watch film, what I expect, and what I'm looking for." And you've been in those scenarios. You're in that situation in the NFL yourself.
Yeah, when I was at Tampa, I actually lived with our starter, Mike Glennon, another rookie at the time. So I got to know really, really well how he liked to watch film. And it's not just what are you seeing, but what is he really looking for? And so I was able to really diagnose and speak his language.
Etling taken down after play action as they look to go deep again. And it was Tay Davis, the senior from Oxford, Alabama, who's played in every game over the last 3 years, who comes up with a quarterback sack.
And a guy that actually started his career at safety, played 3 years at safety, and that's the athleticism you see. This is a delayed blitz. He's waiting, playing in coverage, and he sees no back in the backfield, and Etling looking around, and he decides to come. That's why they moved him up. They had some depth with their transfers in the back end with Kareem Orr and Lucas Webb, a very talented player at safety as well. Saw an opening, didn't have many linebackers returning, and that speed there is evident.
So it leaves LSU with a 3rd and 21. Etling, strong pocket presence, high and through the hands of DJ Chark. LSU missed a field goal in its previous offensive possession, and now they'll punt it away. This will be their first punt. Josh Groudon is their punter. He continues that Aussie connection. Started with Brad Wing in 2011. Groudon is from Sydney. And the lefty gets it away. Parker asks for a fair catch at the 35-yard line. 44-yard punt for Josh Groudon. 7:47 to go before the half. Nick Tiano in the box back on offense. Well, Chattanooga's offense got off to a great start. Their first couple of drives were long ones. A 14-play drive, kick a field goal to open things up with Nick Tiano at the helm. 4 different receivers caught passes on that opening drive. Since then, the last 2, they've gone 3 and out. What's the difference?
Yeah, I just think it's not executing in some of those passing concepts. We saw him early utilizing space, utilizing bunch formations, getting the ball out of Tiano's hands quick. We saw them try to go towards a couple shots and run the ball. Got to get back to what worked in that first drive.
We also saw a lot of shifting and motion, a la LSU on that first drive. Not as much since. And Ellen is picked off. What a break on the ball by Andreas Williams, and the freshman has his 2nd pick of the season here in game number 2. They call him Greedy. His aunt nicknamed him Greedy Dee when he was just a kid because he hogged all the food and candy. Now he's hogging the football.
And they have ran this little quick out or a quick flat to Andre's side multiple times. Fool me once, but not twice. Back-to-back games now with an interception. I mean, that's a great football play right there. That's all instincts. That's not his defensive responsibility. He saw that early, watching the quarterback's eyes, and broke on that.
Dave Aranda's defense had 9 picks last year. They already have 3 this season. And here's some of that LSU shifting and motion. Darius Geis has been bottled up, but no longer. trying to split the safeties, and he lost his footing on the spin move. Longest gain of the night for Geis. He rips off 25 yards.
Tom, this is something that Matt Canada has been preaching. Trust the track. Darius Geis has the ability to bounce outside all the time, but trust the blocking scheme. Look at the patience there, waiting for J.D. Moore to get his block, and then it opens up. And that's what we've been waiting for, that explosive run, and it took some patience by Geis.
Those versatile tight ends and fullbacks do a lot for this LSU offense. Guys like J.D. Moore and Foster Morrow. And here's the jet sweep for Russell Gage with a hurdle. Down to the 6. LSU fans have to be thrilled overall with the way this offense has looked early.
Yeah, and these little wrinkles right here is the jet sweeps. Obviously, you don't draw that one up. That's just all athlete right there. But these jet sweeps are what really snags the eyes of the linebackers and opens up the run game for Geis. So they may run it 30, 40 times in a game and only hand it off 5 or 6, but the effect that has on the linebackers to see that jet sweep across their face every single time is what's going to open up the holes for Geis.
Russell Gage just went right over the top of Kareem Moore at 5'11". Here's Geis. Plenty of Navy shirts around him, and they stop him for no gain. Tavon Lawson coming off of a career-high 14 tackles against Jacksonville State. Back healthy again, and came up for the stop and a preseason All-American. Third down 3. You go back to Geis here.
Guys, I'm watching Ed Orgeron, LSU head coach, down here by the 20. Just slammed his headset, cracked it, broke it in about 5 different pieces after his O-line didn't get enough push on that play.
See if they get it here to the right side. Geis slips through into the end zone for an LSU touchdown. Headset looks good now. It's safe.
And we've talked about the youth of this team. You're going to see a true freshman, Torrey Carter, number 44, coming across the line with the block that springs Geis. Another great patient run by Geis.
And so Geis, who was the fastest to 1,000 yards, is now the 16th player in LSU history to reach the 2,000-yard mark. 2 touchdowns tonight for Geis. Connor Culp on to attempt the point after. And he's able to punch it through. All-State is proud to be part of the team that comes together to do good by contributing to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, All-State has contributed millions in scholarship funds. You know what's funny is we were just kind of talking about Darius Geis in the commercial. I'm sure a lot of LSU fans were thinking the same thing. Hey man, he hadn't really looked great tonight. When's he going to break one?
Yeah, right before that drive, I looked at the stats. I think it was 6 rushes for 26 yards. Not the Darius Geis we're used to seeing, but just as we evaluated the BYU film, it's really the blocking up front. Just 1 or 2 hat placements or 1 or 2 missed blocks away from really springing. And we saw there with the blocking by the fullbacks and the patience by Geis, that's when those holes opened up. And that's really the deception and creativity and really the variety of ways they're going to get Darius Geis the ball in this Matt Canada offense.
5:41 to go before half, and LSU has opened up a 21-3 lead on Chattanooga. Here's Joseph Parker. And he's able to take it up to the 22-yard line. And the ball came loose. LSU scooped it up, but he was down. Monroe thought he had 6. Take a look at the tail end of this play on the return by Parker.
Does look like, yep, the knee was down. But you know what I love there? Battle's coming in and stripping no matter what. As a DB, especially here at DBU, you're always taught tackle and strip.
Injured player on the field for LSU. It is John Battle who is injured and came up to make that strip at the tail end of the play. Junior from Hallandale, Florida. and helped to his feet by the athletic training staff here for LSU. 5.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Tom Hart alongside former Vanderbilt quarterback Jordan Rodgers. The frustrations for LSU fans with the scope of the offense before Matt Canada showed up was really simple. They were very predictable by down, distance, and personnel. And Les Miles and Cam Conway, you know what I'm talking about, Cam Cameron. Really, in many ways, the criticism was that they wore down their running backs. They're doing a pretty good job of keeping guys fresh tonight. Can they do that all season?
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception was with Matt Canada's offense that Geis is going to get the ball any less. No, it's not the goal. He's going to get as many touches. It's just going to be in a variety of ways, and we're starting to see that here in the last drive with the type of runs they were.
78 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, what I was going to say there, Tom, we saw a few counters, powers, unbalanced sets at the jet sweep there. We really saw the creativity that I think got a little dry there in the middle drives as they were hitting big in the passing game, but we didn't see the running game as really potent as we wanted to.
And even game one against BYU, we talked to Matt Canada about this. A lot of people suggested, well, you didn't show much. You don't have everything in the playbook. He's like, listen, we got everything. And we showed a lot. We showed a lot in the running game. We did so many different things, as you're alluding to. And we gave a lot of different looks. 3-man rush here, and it's complete to the outside to Parker. Gain of 8. And then, Cole, the question has always been how good and consistent can this offensive line be with the return of K.J. Malone and a freshman starting at right guard in Ed Ingram?
Well, it starts up front with who I believe is the best center in the SEC. Was one of the best guards in the SEC a season ago, Tom. But it's all about continuity. You have to get on the same page. It's all about reps. You have to rep it in practice. You have to go through it together. And there's going to be some differences in this offensive scheme. I thought last week, off tackle, some of the counter plays and power plays that Jordan was mentioning, and even the outside zone plays, they were turning some defenders free. They were turning guys loose. That hasn't been happening so far today, and I think that's why you've seen a few more big runs.
Yeah, that center you're talking about is Will Clapp, Jr. from Brother Martin in New Orleans. Matt Canada overall was really happy with the offensive execution. There's that center hiding in front of the towels. It takes a lot of towels to
put those young guys to work.
314-pounder. Their offensive line average is 313. Some game planning up front on the dry erase board. Jeff Grimes is the offensive line coach. 3rd down 4. They are 2 for 7 on 3rd downs tonight are the Mocs. Movement on the right side. Taylor Helton. Third penalty against Chattanooga tonight, and that makes it a little bit different. How does that change your mindset as a quarterback? You go from 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 10.
I mean, that changes the entire concept that you're running. 3rd and 5, you really have your entire playbook. You can go short, you can go intermediate. You're now on 3rd and long. That changes the defense. They're going to be playing a little more off with a little more cushion. Got to try to dial up something. Hopefully, maybe over the middle of the field here, a high-low combination, something just past the sticks.
Officially 3rd and 9. And Chattanooga takes a timeout. And I don't think the Chattanooga coaches are happy with the play clock situation. Coming out of the penalty, Tom Arth is wondering why that clock wasn't reset. They use their final timeout of the half, and that chases us to a break.
Regions Bank halftime report coming shortly. Dari Doring-Chiswick will show you how Auburn and Clemson are doing. Clemson just struck again. South Carolina struck again against Missouri. Take on LSU.
I like the big play production from the young wideouts for LSU.
I'll tell you what, Danny Etling's doing just what we thought. He's still progressing. That's what they need him to do.
Tons to catch you up on at halftime.
All right, Dari, thanks. Go figure Doring would lock in on the wide receivers, huh? 3rd and 9 here. Coach Chiswick might like this. What LSU might dial up defensively. They got some speed on the field here. They're going to bring pressure. Zone blitz. They get to him. It's another sack for Corey Thompson. A loss of 8 on Thompson's 2nd sack of the night.
And Tom, this is something that they've been doing, especially on 3rd down. They'll bring a Mike linebacker up right here. to set the defense. And then this is all the speed we've been talking about with Corey Thompson off the edge. But when they bring that Mike linebacker up over the center, it's going to make that offensive line all man up across the board. No more gap or slide schemes, and that leaves one-on-one matchups for the speed of LSU.
And then they drop him. And with that speed up front, you don't know which guy is going to drop, because it could very well be Corey Thompson dropping off the edge, or Lockature, who's moved inside with that defense.
Dirty trick there from a very savvy defensive coordinator to create man-on-man mismatches with his speed up front.
Hey, let me ask you about this Auburn game tonight. They're trailing, as Dari said, 14-6 to Clemson. Jarrett Stidham, just 6 of 11 through the air. What did you see from the Baylor transfer last week at Auburn, and what do you think is going on tonight?
Well, no secret, just because they have Stidham, that they were going to now all of a sudden throw the ball 40 times a game. So the run game is still going to be the heart and soul, but Stidham's got to progress. And I think that's a tug or a push and pull between Chip Lindsey and Gus Malzahn right now about what this passing attack is going to look like. I don't think they've quite sorted out the kinks, but Stidham has potential, obviously just not on the same page with his guys right now.
Beautiful kick from Colin Brewer. Pushes Chark back to the 35. Got another chance for a big one. Chark makes a man miss. Makes 2 of them miss. DJ Chark taking it down the numbers, and he's going to take it into the end zone. A 65-yard punt return touchdown. Let me tell you a quick story about DJ Chark. His first couple practices in this Matt Canada offense absolutely killed him. They were doing so much running and shifting. First 2 practices were deadly. He gave up root beer and strawberry Fanta. Water only. He's thinner, he's faster, and he got some great blocks.
That's because these wide receivers run about 40 yards before they even run their route. But they brought him back to return punts for security, let alone, boy, he's got some wheels. That's why they give him the ball so frequently on the jet sweeps. You get that guy in space, he is very, very dangerous.
65 yards for Chark. When DJ Chark was a youngster, his Little League football coach allowed the kids to put nicknames on the back of their jerseys. Kind of like the XFL. He went with smooth, and he looked smooth on this one.
Doesn't he? This is the most dangerous thing. When you can puncture a punt defense up the middle, you know it's going to be a big play. And this is just all vision, all athleticism. That's a gamer. Now his second time in the end zone, only one of them counted, but he got his punt return TD that time.
Yeah, remember, had an earlier punt return score waved off because of a holding penalty.
I don't think they're going to kick it to him again.
I would say this: if you see a number 7 across from you in an LSU jersey, try to keep the ball away from him at all costs.
Yeah, even last year, the number 7 they had.
Going all the way back to Burt Jones, the Ruston Rifle.
Tom, you're just going to leave out Rondell Mealy? Patrick Peterson?
Yeah.
You know this game. I can play this game.
Tyrann Mathieu, Leonard Fournette.
Boy, I know 18's their special number for their leaders on their team, but boy, 7 is got to be their playmakers number.
From a yard in, Joseph Parker brings it out. Let me tell you what Cole Kublik did at dinner last night, folks. We had a fantastic meal at Rufino's, and the waiters and waitresses were all wearing LSU jerseys. And Cole, our big leader on the offensive line, is sitting at the head of the table, and he's just scanning the room. And I'm wondering if he's looking for somebody. He said, no, I'm trying to think of all these numbers and who they would represent in LSU's greatness. And he had about 4 names for every single jersey we saw at dinner last night, except for our waitress who had 26. We still can't figure out a great 26 in LSU history.
No, I actually talked to a couple of the guys down here on the field before the game. I said, you got a 26 for me? I think I don't really have one. But, yeah, you throw around 4, you throw around 3, 5, 7, 11. That's easy. I can go for those all day.
Well, they may not have a 26, but they got a crab cheesecake. We know that.
If I don't throw out a 94, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yes, you may. Meanwhile, the number 18 in LSU lore is something that over the years has been worn by just one player. I think Christian Lockature came up to Ed Orgeron in the offseason and said, Coach, I've thought long and hard about this. And their relationship really developed when Christian was out with an ACL injury. Really got to be part of the staff and a great relationship. He said, I think we should have 2 18s. And I think J.D. Moore should be the other guy to wear it. And so John David Moore was presented with a second number 18 in a very emotional team meeting. Big play on the perimeter. Jack Marucci, the head athletic trainer here at LSU, is really in many ways a consigliere for Ed Ogeron, who is the first to recommend who may or may not be capable of living up to that honor of wearing number 18. And so with everybody signed off on it, for the first time LSU's got 2 18s.
And what a great story with J.D. Moore. Came on as a walk-on fullback. Didn't have many big offers, want to go somewhere where he could compete for a championship. But in his own mind, he was being a realist, and he goes, you know what, maybe on senior day I'll run down on a kickoff or something. Didn't really expect to play very much at all.
Do you know the first number that the equipment staff gave J.D. Moore when he showed up on campus?
90-something?
Higher. Try 130. J.D. Moore showed up as a walk-on. They hand him number 130. He's dropped a digit from that. He's now number 18. And oh, by the way, a 3.995 GPA in architecture. Ed Ogeron said this kid is special. He's going to make a great CEO someday.
I mean, coming from walking on campus thinking maybe on senior day I could run down a kickoff or something, to lead blocking at fullback for Leonard Fournette, now Darius Geis. You talk about a transition, and then, oh, by the way, Matt Canada comes and there's no more fullback.
Right.
We don't have that position anymore. And so he's been working on the craft of catching the ball in the backfield. He's a crucial part of this offense with Matt Canada as he used the tight end and fullback as really a hybrid position.
4-man rush here. Good push up front, and it's incomplete, and it's picked off. LSU's got another one. How about this play from Kerry Vincent Jr.? I think it really started up front with pressure from Corey Thompson. He shoved his man back, and then the intended receiver, Parker, short on that one.
And Tom, Tiano missed on this exact same throw last week, an inside slot slant that he missed high. That is one heck of a play by Kerry Vincent. Another true freshman. Point him out. They're all over the field. A guy that ever since he stepped on campus could play. And they found a position for him. He's in a little bit of a battle at nickelback, but he's a guy, along with Grant Delpit, along with Calebon Chason. They got some true freshmen all over the field making big plays. None bigger tonight than that one right there.
Freshman Andreas Williams has a pick. Freshman Kerry Vincent Jr. has a pick. Well, whatever they drop on that grease board, it's been working. So Danny Etling out of the shotgun. LSU turning this one into a laugher here in the first half. With Geis blocking, he floats it to the outside, complete to Russell Gage. That guy's going down on the sideline. Pickup of 9, just short it looks like.
And Tom, how quickly a game can change. When you think about just a few drives ago, it was 14-3. Chattanooga had the ball. With the chance to drive down, put points on the board. They throw an interception. It has been all LSU from that point on.
Geis with a stutter step. We've got flags and whistles before the play got off.
False start on the offense. All 11 players were not set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Well, the pageantry is something special here at Death Valley, and you'll get a chance to see the Golden Band from Tigerland at the half. We'll have the entire performance on SEC Network Plus. You can go to the ESPN app and start streaming now. It's also available on Watch ESPN. Second down and 6. Etling, incomplete. Trying to find DJ Chark. I want to ask you and Cole, as this game progresses and maybe in the second half, how this performance from LSU tonight translates going forward. The open SEC play with Mississippi State next week. This is a team that's among the favorites in the SEC West. Of course, you got to get by Alabama, and it's been a while since that happened for LSU. But Mississippi State is no walkover.
No, not with the way that defense is playing.
Morrow in motion. Blitz coming. Etling evades it, goes over the middle, too much for Chark. He had him there, and it looked like possible 6.
This is another one that Etling, 2 back-to-back throws he'd like to have back. Great job with pressure off the edge of coming up in the pocket and just not finishing the throw. Leaves a little bit high. It's one of those ones as a quarterback you're trying to be cute and perfect with, and you kind of give it a half throw, ends up sailing.
46-yard attempt for Connor Culp, the freshman from Phoenix. Jack Gonsolin missed one from 40 early. So the rotating door with the kickers continues. And that one's short from Culp. LSU went out and hired Greg McMahon from the Saints as a special teams analyst. And Orgeron was not happy with their special teams play last year. They ranked 119th out of 128 in the FBS. Only West Virginia and Arizona graded worse among Power 5 teams. Let's take a look at the road to Atlanta, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Big one today in Tuscaloosa, and Alabama had no problems with Fresno State, a 44-10 victory. Auburn looks like a team that could make it to Atlanta, but they've got a tough schedule. And they trail Clemson in the third quarter. And Georgia is on the road in South Bend. Notre Dame leading in the second.
Well, Georgia's got a quarterback, Jake Fromm, that I'm really excited about. Did a lot of film study on him this past week. Really don't think there's that much of a drop-off losing Jacob Eason early last week. Another young quarterback. We also saw Tua Tagovailoa for Alabama. They got in the game in the second quarter for Alabama.
By the way, did you see what happened with the Georgia fans leaving Atlanta, flying on Delta to South Bend on Friday morning?
Did not.
The flight was overbooked, and airlines do that all the time, right? The flight's overbooked. They didn't know everybody was going to show up, but they underestimated Georgia fans, so they offered to buy someone out of their seat. It got all the way up to $4,000. So finally a lady took the cash, got off the plane. She was going to fly up later, and then the next flight, same thing happened. Delta was out another $2,400.
$4,000?
I
mean, who's not taking it at $3,000?
Georgia fans, man. They took over Wrigley Field. They got the Falcons and Bears tomorrow at Soldier Field. Quite a road trip.
Well, that'll get you quite a few flights to Georgia games.
Yeah, it would.
A whole season worth.
3rd and 2 for Chattanooga. They looked great early on. A couple of long drives. First one was a field goal. Second one, they turned it over on downs. But tough to turn it around on the last few possessions. Room on the left side, and all the way down the sideline for Darrell Bridges. Oh wait, Chattanooga not afraid of a comeback. This is the second time these two teams meet. They met in 1954. In that game, Chattanooga trailed by 19 at the half. They came back to score 3 touchdowns in the span of 10 minutes in the second half to tie the game before LSU pulled it out late. How long ago was 1954? How about this? There were only 11,000 people here at Tiger Stadium for that game.
Wow. It is.
Almost, well, probably 9 times as many.
Yeah, I was going to say it's packed tonight. My first time here.
It was a first down for Chattanooga over the last 6 possessions. Tiano chased. And incomplete. What impresses you the most about being in this building?
I mean, just the emotion, really. I mean, after scores, but even in a game like this, the dedication of these fans. We didn't get a chance to get out there and get out and enjoy the tailgating, but there's something special I've heard about this place at night under the lights. You can just feel it. Something you can feel. You don't even need to see it. You can just feel the energy. This will be a 52-yard attempt for Victor Olmo. First year as a starter, had a 31-yarder that stands as his current career long. Doesn't have the leg, but we've got a flag on the play. Dante Jackson came in to try to block and ran into the kicker. LSU had already started back towards the locker room. And there's a handful of guys who are getting an early start on the half.
Running into the kicker, number 1 on the defense. Penalty is 5 yards. We'll have 1 untimed down.
You know,
LSU had 10 penalties in the entire game last week. They've got 10 in the first half here tonight.
and that's the speed, sir. Dante Jackson coming off a good sell job there. But, hey, this takes you, I would almost say, I don't know if 5 yards is enough for that kick he had last time. I think he's going to have to put a little more on it. But I would have liked them to see now at the 30, take a shot in the end zone with no time left.
So this would be a 47-yard attempt now for Olmo. Would be his career long. He's got the distance here, but it's going to be pushed right.
Drove that one.
Second guy off the tee is always better. Our score at the half here at Tigers Stadium. LSU in control, up 28-3. Time to get back to the studio. Dari, Chiz, and Doran. Fellas, all yours.
Thank you, Tom. It's time for the Regions Bank halftime report. You just heard Mr. Hart introduce us. I have no reason to do it, and I'll take it. 28-3 is the score. What jumps out to you from just a nice, efficient, smooth first half?
I mean, it's not been the cleanest on either side of the ball, but I think the fact of the matter is that I'm excited about the explosive plays. That's one of the things they didn't do very well last week against BYU. They got 4 different receivers that have 20-plus yard receptions, so pretty good there in the passing game.
How about Kerry Vincent's interception there right near the
sweet,
end of
right?
the half? Unbelievable. So, again, LSU's defense is showing up. These guys are making great plays, two turnovers in the first half. They're continuing on the path that they started last week.
All right, second half then. If you're coaching LSU right now, you say, obviously you don't want to get anybody hurt. You want to be careful with what you do, but where do you tell them you want to see execution?
Well, I think you want to see execution between Danny Etling and get Drake Davis and get some of these other receivers involved for timing, because you know they're going to be able to run the football. Pass timing is critical.
Ed Ogeron's team leading comfortably here is the coach with Cole Kubler.
Coach Orgeron, first time out of the tunnel as the head coach of the LSU Tigers on opening night in Death Valley. How did it feel?
Oh, great. What a great crowd. I want to thank the crowd for being out here tonight. Great Tiger walk. We got to play better than we're playing right now, though.
You told us in meetings you put DJ Chark back as punt returner because he was your best option as far as ball security was concerned. Did you expect this?
Great vision. You know, we did all week. We thought we had a middle return on those guys. He's doing a little bit better than I expected, and we're so happy for him.
Thank you, Coach.
Go Tigers.
Every time. I love it. Every time.
Doesn't miss it.
Auburn and Clemson, much anticipated opportunity for the Tigers of Auburn. How about Clemson's Tigers down 3-0 in the early going? Jeff Holland the strip. Jeremiah Denson recovers. Led to another field goal, though. These opportunities ending in 3 points.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. In games like this, when you get in the red area, especially inside the 10-yard line, it's got to turn into touchdowns, not field goals, because at the end of the day, that can haunt you.
Not to mention what it does for the momentum factor. You know, they had the momentum for the majority of the first half, and all of a sudden Clemson puts a drive together towards the end of the first half, and you felt like Auburn dominated the whole first 30 minutes of the ball game, and Clemson ended up having the lead.
Yeah, Kelly Bryant got banged up a little bit there. Eventually did come back, didn't miss much time, and then the beautiful throw to Ray McLeod.
I'll tell you what, Ray McLeod, Deion Kane, Hunter Renfro, all these guys, the timing's starting to come together, and he's hitting them on the dime.
Yeah, they were more than just Mike Williams last year.
Absolutely.
A lot more than just Mike Williams. There's a touchdown for Bryant, so Clemson with the 7-6 lead at the half. Early third. Again, Bryant so dangerous with his legs as well. Nifty little move, and he scampers into the end zone. And it's a 14-6 lead right now for Clemson. But Auburn continuing to give themselves chances. They just got a turnover. They're only down 1 score. So how do they make sure Clemson stays within arm's length and then make a move here in the second half?
Oh, well, again, they got to do what got them there, running the football, making sure that Jared Stidham is not put in bad situations. This is going to be a defensive battle. I'm telling you right now, if you watch both of these defensive lines, it's a brawl.
Yeah.
It's a brawl. So it's coming down to the end. It's got to stay close for both teams to have a chance to win it.
Right now, though, Clemson's defense starting to affect Jared Stidham.
Sure.
6 sacks there to this point in the ball game. Tons of tackles for losses. They're getting penetration, starting to take over on that line of scrimmage, kind of the way that we suspected.
And
before
the
game
home field
started.
advantage could kick in here anytime soon.
And just for context, too, if you don't follow Clemson or the ACC very closely or the draft, Mel Kiper's got 2 guys on that defensive line sitting in the top 25 of the NFL draft. And it looks like it at times against this offensive line.
No question about it.
All right, let's look at what Georgia and Notre Dame are doing. Georgia trying to become the first SEC team to win in South Bend since 2001. Jake Fromm, of course, first career start, looking deep to Terry Godwin. Good play on the sideline by Godwin.
That's not even Godwin's best catch
No.
of the day. You'll see that coming up here in a second, but the receiver's doing a nice job helping out their young quarterback.
Second quarter after a Fromm fumble, Brandon Wimbush, who runs and throws very well in a short time as Notre Dame's starting quarterback.
Well, this is going to be the game plan right here. You have to stop this guy. He has great ability on design quarterback runs. He can scramble. He can hit receivers. You got to stop this guy.
How about that? This would be the catch you're referencing by Godwin.
And not only the nice stab, but getting the feet down, securing the football before he falls out of bounds. That's just great body control, awareness, and you see him look that ball all the way into the shoulder pad.
They're at the half in South Bend. Notre Dame leading Georgia right now, 13 to 10. Initial thoughts on Jake Fromm in the first half?
I thought Fromm was a young guy in there, but what I want to talk about is the defense, and I don't want to steal your thunder here, my friend. But that Georgia defense has been very, very good. Fromm turned the ball over at the 31. That's how Notre Dame got the touchdown. But they've limited this Notre Dame rushing attack. They've kept Wimbush in the pocket. He's done virtually nothing on the ground, as has any of the other running backs. And remember, they had 3 guys go for over 100 yards last week.
No doubt about it. And offensively, Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, they got to get that rolling. The offensive line has made some improvement from last week based on what I saw on film. They can't put the game in the hands of a true freshman to win it on the road. So the running game's got to kick in soon. But I got to give Fromm a lot of credit. This guy's got guts. We saw some great catches, but he's also putting the ball in some places that it can only be put at where the defender can't get it to. And that's big.
To your point on the Georgia running game, when they scored that touchdown, it was a 12-play drive. They ran the ball 8 times there and started to impose their will. They got to get back to doing that more in the second half.
To your point on Notre Dame's run game, last week they ran for 422 yards. Tonight, 27 yards in the first.
We're helping each other's points out.
That's exactly right. We do. We stick up for each other's points, and that's why we're a good team. South Carolina, I see Stewie over there laughing.
Try to entertain ourselves.
That's exactly right. Battle of Columbia, first SEC game of the season as well. Missouri, South Carolina, Drew Lock to Jason Reese, 61 yards. 10-zip Tigers.
Looks familiar. I mean, we saw the same thing last week.
You know what looks familiar? It's this right here. Debo Samuel taking one.
That's so familiar. That's familiar.
You know what's unfamiliar? The 0 on Missouri's opponent score, at least until this.
That's true, but you know what's interesting to me about Debo Samuel? When they need a play to be made, he makes that play. Did it right there on the kickoff, and then right here on the speed sweep. Gets to the edge. What a weapon he is for the South Carolina team.
Yeah, he is a guy that answers the bell. If something negative happens, you're on kickoff return for a reason, except for one time a game. One time a game, it's because it's either the beginning of the half or the beginning of the second half. If you're on kickoff return, it's because they just scored, and he has a way to answer it.
Hayden Hurst touchdown there. South Carolina's defense doing a really good job against this talented Missouri offense. That game over on ESPN2 right now. Meanwhile, in our game, it is all LSU, 28-3. We're back with more at the half in a moment.
This halftime report is presented by Regions Bank, proud to be the official bank of the SEC.
Welcome back to the Regions Bank halftime report. Vanderbilt at home against Alabama A&M, looking for their first 2-0 start under Derek Mason, Kyle Shermer, Kalijah Lipscomb. You're a big Shermer fan.
Had some pretty good quarterback play today so far in this conference, but Shermer has been absolutely on fire. Perfect 12 of 12 in the first half today.
Shermer, by the way, through 2 games, if you're keeping track at home, and you should be, let me do the math.
You're scoring at home?
15 of 18. I don't know. Anyway, he's been good.
You're not scoring at home.
42-zip. They've given up 6 points in 2 games.
Hey, and their offensive line now. Let's not forget about that. They're protecting.
They're going to be a problem for some teams.
For sure.
Kentucky trying to get to 2-0 as well, facing Eastern Kentucky. They trailed, though, in this game by as many as 10 points. Benny Snell Jr. gets over 100 yards. Struggled a bit last week at Southern Miss. And then Steven Johnson. This is what Drew Barker does not give you.
Yeah, exactly. This is what Steven Johnson, this is why they went with him. He can create things with his legs. Obviously, he's on a scramble. 22 yards later, he's in the end zone.
Yep. So a good win for Kentucky. Then, this guy's becoming he's just a superstar. I mean, superstar. Before our very eyes, Shea Patterson, good throw to DeMarcus Lodge.
Look at him drop it in over the outside shoulder of his wide receiver where only he can go get it.
And then more. If people don't understand that he can just flat throw the football in addition to everything else he does, they have got to figure this out, right?
They got some problems if they can't figure that out. This dude is a very good quarterback and fun to watch. I like the fact that he can make all the throws, Coach. You look at the deep balls, threw a couple nice ones there. You saw the one to Lodge and earlier a couple to A.J. Brown. But when he needs to put some zip on it, he's got some revs on the football as well.
He's got the touch. He knows exactly when to put it on, when to take it off. I like his decision making. This guy's had 2 games and he's thrown for a ton of yards. But his decisions have been good.
Mm-hmm.
Not to forget the fact that he can scramble and buy time so that receivers, if they're open, can get covered, can get open, and he can hit them down.
They're going to have to score, though, because their defense has some issues. They gave up a ton of yards rushing early in that first half. As they get into conference play, it's going to be a shootout there in Oxford.
In the history of Rebel football, they've had 2 games by a quarterback of 400 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. Shea Patterson today, Shea Patterson last week.
Yeah.
That's the kind of history that
for a young guy to make
about
these
6
decisions.
starts to this point, too?
And being accurate.
Yeah.
Unreal. All right, Ole Miss, well done. Shea Patterson, well done. Rebels, they're on the road at Cal next week. Alabama's home opener against Fresno State. Jalen Hurts, a career-best rushing day. He went for 154 on the ground.
Like they need any more guys that can run the ball, right?
Makes Brian Daboll look good, right?
Yeah. And then Jalen Hurts, he also threw the ball well, 128 yards and a touchdown. Easy day for the Tide as they do indeed roll 41-10. It is all Tigers in their home opener. Darius Geis finds his way into the end zone. 28-3. We're back in a moment. Doring Chiswick, Arkansas at home against 23rd-ranked TCU, a team they beat in Fort Worth a year ago in an exciting overtime game. 7-zip. TCU, Austin Allen, Jonathan Nance, touchdown, Razorbacks. Little did we know that would be it for them.
That was a good play. It was good. I mean, the one they had, right?
14-7 your score, and then Darius Anderson, who went for over 100 on the ground, 106 to be exact, and TCU pulls away, taking advantage of Arkansas missed opportunities. 28-7 Frogs beat the Hogs. How about Mississippi State and Louisiana Tech? Tech up 9-3, and then who made this play? How about the big man, Jeffrey Simmons? Watch
and
this.
Recovers it, right? Look at that athleticism from the big dude.
My goodness. Yeah, and then the recovery in the end zone. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's worth showing 3 times.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
My hunch is Booger's going to have something on that a little bit in the late show tonight. 36
points, though, but it's mostly been about the defense and special teams setting that offense up.
Second straight week for that defense to shine. Texas A&M at home against Nichols. A&M 6 days removed from the heartbreaking loss at UCLA. Kellen Mond, the freshman at Christian Kirk, touchdown.
They look good early on in offense on that side of the ball, but really have stalled here as this game's worn on. I think they've even brought Hubenak into the football game to try to get him a spark.
You guys got one more show in you here later tonight?
Of course,
I'm in.
man.
You're
got
in?
like,
I'm
what,
not leaving.
3 or 4 more hours left?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey,
Grinding.
with the games we've got on, you better believe it. Let's go. We'll do it. When we're done in Tigerland, we will have a full 60-minute recap for you on SEC Now. Meanwhile, I know you want to get back and watch your team's second half. What does Coach O and the great assistant staff have in store for you? Any more big plays from DJ Chark, perhaps? Number 7's been a big play number for LSU in history. Score! Get in there!
This halftime report is presented by Regions Bank, proud to be the official bank of the SEC.
Welcome back to SEC Saturday Night, presented by Holiday Inn Express. From Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, no problems for number 12 LSU, a 28-3 lead at the half. Over Chattanooga, the Mocs out of the SoCon. Tom Hart alongside former Vandy quarterback Jordan Rodgers. Well, this LSU offense didn't waste much time. We've seen their big play capability, and Danny Etling looks perfectly comfortable driving a sports car.
Yeah, we knew one thing. This Matt Canada offense distributes the ball to wide receivers. I was looking for big-time receivers to step up on the outside of DJ Chark. We saw it here with Drake Davis getting the action on a big play downfield. early. And then another guy that we wanted to step up, 6'6", Stephon Sullivan, a sophomore as well, emerging as a downfield threat. Etling has just been accurate. This throw right here to DJ Chark on the sideline, that's a big-time throw from a guy that didn't really show this side of him very much last year. And then what have we been preaching with Darius Geis? Or Matt Cannon's been preaching, stay patient, stay the track. He did right there. We broke a few big runs early on for LSU.
Here's a look at the raw numbers so far. You like that passer rating number, right? Etling checks in at the half at 245.3. A couple of touchdowns for Darius Geis. A 25-yarder was a big one to open it up. And Chark has a punt return touchdown and 46 yards receiving. 5 different receivers have a catch for LSU thus far tonight. Everybody with one grab. Can't get much more evenly distributed than that.
And Etling so efficient last week, 14 to 17 with 2 throwaways. We see him being efficient and explosive tonight, which bodes really, really well for this offense.
Chance from the 3-yard line for another big return for LSU. And out to the 24 goes Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Cole, what do you got?
Spoke to Tom Arth, Chattanooga head coach, just before the halftime. He said, hey, I like our offensive game plan. We're going to stick with that. We're going to keep going with that. Giving up too many big plays, and we must tackle better. Didn't talk about special teams, which is an obvious concern, but says if we don't tackle better, this thing's going to get out of hand.
Well, in reality, special teams a concern for both sides tonight. Yeah, they gave up 2 big punt returns. One of them got taken back because of a holding penalty, but LSU still can't find a kicker. And that's going to be a real issue if they continue to play in low-scoring, tight games against the likes of Alabama. You can't go into a game like that without a kicker.
Yeah, you hope it never comes down to that, but when it does, you got to have a guy you can trust and lean on.
Here's Darius Geis. You can lean on this dude all night long, and he gets taken down at the 35-yard line. A pickup of 11 on the first play for Geis.
This is just a power run to the left side. A great pickup block there by number 44, Carter. And then that's all Geis. And that's the ability. If you stay the track and you hit the run downhill like the play is designed, as Matt Canada has been preaching, you have the ability to then bounce it outside, which we saw so often from Darius Geis last year. That's the improvement, though. Seeing year 1 to year 2 really of him progressing, staying the track, trusting the blocking scheme, and then allowing your athleticism to take over to break those big runs.
He led the SEC in rushing last year, despite only being the featured back in 5 out of LSU's 12 games. Able to pick up 5 there. He would be the first SEC running back since Darren McFadden in 2007 to lead the SEC in rushing yards in consecutive seasons. "27 carries last week against BYU. Geis has 11 carries and 2 touchdowns tonight. Carry number 12. That one gives him 7. Lucas Webb out of Tuscaloosa County High School in Northport, Alabama, came up to make the stop from the safety spot.
KJ Malone, the left tackle, on tackle over here. Look at the space. 2 gaps open there. Running to the strong side. Get to the ball with tempo. Don't even know that left tackle is now lined up on the right side. Add some extra beat to that line of scrimmage. That's the creativity there with Canada.
Malone, a graduated senior. Back to play again for this LSU team. Etling looking down the sideline. He's going to lob it on a wheel route to Geis, who never saw it. Covered by Kareem Orr out of the backfield, the Arizona State transfer. Etling's got to adjust the chin strap after that one.
Yeah, really nothing here. Obviously getting hit there as the ball is released by Hawk Schreider. But Kareem Orr in coverage there. He's a guy that one of those transfers. He transferred from Arizona State, was a freshman All-American there, had 7 career interceptions. This roster for Chattanooga littered with transfers that are providing a lot of value, especially on this defensive side of the ball.
Here's Darrell Williams with another carry. Tavon Lawson with the stop after a gain of 5.
Before the game, Tom, watching Kareem Orr in warm-ups, Ryan Applin, one of the assistant coaches for Chattanooga, came over and said, you have to watch this young man. He's throwing in fades in the corner of the end zone. Vertical leap looks like it's 40, 45 inches off the ground. He's snagging them with one hand. Just one of those guys that even when you see him in warm-ups with no pads, you're like, That's a dude right there. You just know it as soon as you see him, the way he operates.
He's a freshman All-America playing out at Arizona State. 6 picks was an ASU freshman record. Here comes pressure on Etling. He gets it away into the hands of DJ Chark for a gain of 9. And LSU first down as they convert a 3rd and 5.
And Tom and Cole down there speaking about Moore's athleticism. His very first practice with Chattanooga got a pick 6 on like his 2nd or 3rd play. Coaches saw, turned their heads with the talent. Obviously moved back, transferred from ASU. One of the reasons, just had his first child a couple weeks ago. Wanted to be back home from Chattanooga area. Extremely talented guy, no matter what roster, what team, what division or conference he's playing in.
Here's Russell Gage on the jet sweep. Hey, let's go back to this play real quick. We use that term jet sweep a lot. It goes has its origins back in the fly offense. It was really late 70s, early 80s. What does it mean? What does it do?
Yeah, right here what you're seeing is the jet sweep is working to the right, and actually the line is blocking to the left. And really traditionally with jet or fly sweeps, most of the time that offensive line zones even with or in the same direction as the jet sweep. But the Canada offense, as a lot of offenses are starting to do, does a little different. So the linebackers are going to react to the offensive line movement one way, and they hand it to the jet sweep, creating space, going the opposite.
And now 2nd and 7, and it's Darius Geis. We were talking with offensive coordinator Matt Canada yesterday. The influence for him with this jet motion dates all the way back to a gentleman by the name of Mark Speckman. Mark Speckman was the inventor of the fly offense back in the early 80s. There's Canada on the far right, the new offensive coordinator. Speckman got his break when Dan Hawkins hired him to be his offensive coordinator at Willamette College, the D3 school. The interesting thing about Speckman, who wrote the book on the fly offense, and he said, listen, Coach Speckman hates that we call it the jet sweep. He wants us to call it the fly. Is that Mark Speckman was born without any hands. 3rd and 3 now. Etling play action. A couple of crossing routes, nothing doing, and Etling will throw it away. So he's a great motivational speaker in addition to being a great offensive mind. This is Speckman. He can, even without the use of his hands, type, drive, plays racquetball, played the trombone in high school. And we see so much jet sweep action in this day and age in college football. It all goes back to one guy back in the early 80s who decided in this small school, Willamette College, we need to find something that will help us even the playing field with bigger teams.
It's amazing how you find your philosophy and the coaching trees that you come from. Canada just one example of that philosophy coming from a long time before.
And now 4th and 3 for Danny Etling and LSU. And a swing out to Gage, who had come in motion a moment ago, and he works his way free for a first down. When you talk to Matt Canada about the evolution of not only his offense, or the offense that LSU runs, but also his growth as a coach, he can point to a lot of different things. He was running tempo at Indiana with Ben Chappell running out of the pistol, 3,000-yard passer. Got to Northern Illinois, where he had Chandler Harnish, who was the 4th quarterback in FBS history to throw for 3,000 and rush for 1,000. Then got, as Mike gets a ride up the bleachers, then got to Wisconsin, and Brett Bielema said, we don't want tempo. Find another way to get an advantage on the defense, and that's where all the shifts and motions came through. Here's Geis to the left side, strong side of that line, and he finds a way to eke through between the mock jerseys, and he's inside the 10 on a gain of 18 that looked really easy.
Great job here by Geis. Really a broken play, some missed blocks up front. That's why this guy is so valuable, Tom. I mean, you don't even have to block it perfect, and he's still going to be able to break a big play.
So 1st and goal for LSU. Geis already has 2 touchdowns tonight. A 1-yard run and a 6-yard run. So the 12th play of the drive.
Big emphasis by Canada on first downs in the red zone. Got to get a positive play your first attempt in the red zone.
So give it to Geis. He does just that inside the 5. A pickup of 4.
You know, Tom, get back to the tempo. What that does to a defense, in Canada's history of running tempo offenses, it creates some hesitation and confusion because you're going so fast, the defense doesn't know how to align. Well, you take that tempo out of it, his motions, his shifts create that same type of hesitation and misalignment by the defense. But you know what? You control the ball more, as they now lead the FBS after last week in ball control, and you still get the same effect as tempo.
This is Darrell Williams, and he punches it in for an LSU touchdown.
Darrell Williams, a guy that's been exceeding expectations. There was concerns about his weight coming in this last offseason, lost about 5 pounds, really been focused on his nutrition. He's trim, he's lean, he's more explosive, and he's a great 1-2 punch and a compliment, sometimes on the same field, or on the field at the same time, and sometimes not as Geis, but an equally good back at times.
Williams lost all that weight. He gave up Raising Cane's and Taco Bell for baked fish and chicken. Huh. It's quite a sacrifice. It pays off with a 4-yard touchdown plunge for Williams. 35-3 Tigers. Monday at 7 Eastern. It's a show that's taken the college football world by storm. It's the latest Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions Bank. Marcus Spears, Greg McElroy, Jay Stu. All the football news in the week, both sides of the ball. You can participate via social media and live call-ins throughout the show. Also available streaming live on the ESPN app. I might be talking about South Carolina with a big lead at Mizzou, 31-13, midway through the fourth quarter. And Texas A&M and Nichols are tied in the fourth quarter in College Station. Nichols was a 36.5-point underdog tonight. Big block and out to the 25-yard line. Speaking of research and social media, Cole, has anybody clued you in as the best 26 in LSU history?
You know, Tom, I flipped off the Watch ESPN app just for a moment here, and just for you, I've got Sammy Martin, Richard Murphy coming in. I've got Alvin Lee, running back circa 88 to 90, and my man at Studley also tweets in Richard Murphy. So there's your Twitter handle of the night.
Yeah, it never ends. Hey, we got 26 on the field. This might be the newest one, and we'll just roll with this with John Battle, the junior from Hallandale, Florida. He's got the 305 on his left wrist. You saw that on his tape. That's the area code down at Hallandale Beach community in South Florida, and what they're putting up with tonight and going through with the latest hurricane to come through, Irma. It's certainly something that folks here in this great state know of well. And talking with Ed Ogeron about his history with hurricanes. He said, yeah, I remember back when I was about 6 or 7 years old, we had one that came through and we decided to ride it out. Never again. He was coaching at Ole Miss when Katrina came through. By the way, Coach O's on his second headset of the night.
Always got to have a good backup.
Yes. Second down and 7. And that one came loose. It was almost another pick. James Stovall, the receiver. Let's check in with Dari Noble.
All right, guys. Thanks. You were just talking about this. Texas A&M and Nichols. Here's how Nichols tied it. Chase Fourcade, nephew of John Fourcade, to Stephen LeBouf. 14-14 after the 2-point conversion. And what's going on at Kyle Field?
Well, Dari, maybe we shouldn't be so surprised. Remember, Nichols took it to Georgia last year, came up just short in a 26-24 loss. They're going to cash that check and put a scare in SEC teams, it seems, on a regular basis. Third down 7. Another 4-man rush. Games on the outside. And it forces an incompletion. Caleb Chason, still learning the game of football, is a raw talent. And he is put together.
He is a freak athlete. Just a stunt there. Look at the speed and the finish. I mean, just a great story about how he even ended up playing football, Tom.
Fourth down.
They forced an intentional grounding. He showed up to LSU's camp before his junior year of high school. He hadn't played one season of varsity football. And going through the one-on-one drills and absolutely owning some of the top offensive line prospects in all of college football. He got Ed Ogeron's eye. He drew the eye of Les Miles. And they offered him a scholarship on the spot, despite the fact that Caleb Chason had yet to play in a varsity football game. it wouldn't take long as he went to other camps for everybody else to contribute. And the funny thing is, he wasn't planning on participating in that camp. He came in with a buddy of his. He didn't have his spikes. He didn't have a pair of shorts. He wasn't here to participate in the camp. And now he's in an LSU jersey, and the freshman from Houston having another impact. Tigers back on offense after this. Well, that's Darius Geis, and he's got LSU out to a 35-3 lead. Preseason first-team All-American. I was here for the spring game right about the time that Kendrick Lamar's album came out. And I was listening to that song DNA. By the way, Kendrick Lamar is one of Geis's favorite performers, and I thought this applied to Darius Geis. What makes Geis go? What's in his DNA? Loyalty, royalty, without a doubt. Power, poison, pain, and joy. Hustle, though, ambition, flow. I know you're waiting for me to spit those lyrics, but he's been through so much as still a young man that he's got these conflicting emotions. I mean, here he is on the precipice of greatness and what would be an enormous paycheck at the next level. Here he is perhaps chasing down what could be a Heisman season in one of the most storied programs in college football history. And if everything works out, he's going to be doing cartwheels in his estate. I mean, it's really amazing everything that has gone into him to make him the person that he is.
And we were talking to him, standing with him, and he just said, just things that you wouldn't understand. And that's okay. He comes from a place of positivity, because sometimes we didn't know where we were getting our next meal. And we did whatever we could to really survive. I mean, he is a survivor, and where he's come from and the person he is, the character that he has, is the best compliment to obviously what a talent he is on the field.
He considers himself, and he's got a lot of help throughout his life, and just a junior in college right now. Etling wants to go deep again. And over the top of the coverage, Chark got it. Wow, what a grab. There are 3 dark jerseys there, and it goes for 48 over the top of Kareem Orr. It's a second gain of better than 45 yards for DJ Chark.
And back to another play action. Actually, Tom, he should have let this ball go a little earlier. He had him by a step, but what a great play by DJ Chark, who was flashed all over the field. Punt returns, had a big play earlier down the right sideline, and going up to get that ball as well. But there are some playmakers emerging on the outside for Danny Etling, which is a scary compliment to obviously having Darius Geis in the backfield.
Third catch for 103 yards. They go power on the left side of the line. Here's Darrell Williams dancing his way to the 15. To put a bow on this story from Darius Geis, he's had a lot of people help him out, but he has said, listen, to your point, we're going to figure things out on our own. And so many things in his life he thinks that he's had to figure out on his own. He considers himself self-made in that respect. He said, I've learned that sometimes you just have to do it by yourself. And I told him, I said, dude, I'm just so impressed with your story and where you are now, where you've been, what's in front of you. And he's going to be fun to watch this season. His favorite jam is Humble. Kendrick Lamar chases us to break here with 5:22 to go. Darius Geis wouldn't mind this soundtrack. No, he loves it. Welcome back. It's a 35-3 lead for number 12 LSU. Ed Ogeron does not look terribly pleased with his team right now. Injured player for Chattanooga, Tavon Lawson. Ooh. A little whiplash after running into the hip of big Darrell Williams. Tom Arth, the head coach of Chattanooga. They're going big on the left side as LSU. Williams again inside the 10, lowers his head and carried dudes down to the 2.5. He trucked Lucas Webb for a gain of 12.
Great push by the O-line, and what this does when you shift in motion so much and the defense realigns, it creates great cutback lanes as well. Darrell Williams, a physical runner in his own right, finishing that one strong.
That's Gage in motion. And here's Williams again. And Williams is in again. Did you want some more Kendrick Lamar lyrics? And again, like Wimbledon he serves?
It never fails. You sneak in a rap lyric or a song title. The music man over here.
Oh, you got the movie quotes.
That's right.
Darrell Williams, the senior, the second touchdown of the night. He knew he had to start dropping some weight when his mama called him fat. It's never good when mama drops that on you. And he is leaner and meaner. Increased quickness with the weight loss. All right. I feel you, truck. I feel you. Darrell Williams, a couple of touchdown runs, dances his way in, and he'll take the celebration to the sideline. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch between Darrell Williams and Darius Geis. 4 rushing touchdowns on the night between the two. Tommy Robinson, the running back coach, did a pretty good job. Coaches look really good when they get studs like that, right?
Isn't that the best? I feel like in the NFL especially, you see the guys that are getting promotions and hires and opportunities elsewhere. It's because they got the likes of the best running backs or quarterbacks in the league. So coaches are good and they can put together good schemes, but it sure helps when you got some guys out there doing it for you, making you look good.
Chance for a return for Joseph Parker. The Wyoming transfer gets upended at the 21-yard line. Nice open field tackle by Kerry Vincent Jr. He's got one of a couple picks tonight for LSU. You can stream college football all season long on the ESPN app. Cole's down there watching the Auburn game on the sideline with the app, and he knows that Jarrett Stidham for Auburn has been sacked a school record 11 times tonight, including 3 plays in a row. He can take his ESPN app anywhere you could too. Download the ESPN app now if you haven't already at ESPN.com/app. How'd your Doors do today?
Doors rolled today. Kyle Shermer had a huge first half, and obviously we started getting in this booth, and I couldn't watch the second half. But Alabama A&M, Vanderbilt had a big day.
You may not know this. I was watching the Vandy game on my app right up here in the booth. Shermer, 12 of 12 in the first half, 175 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Is that good?
By the way, they got a shutout, and this surprised me. There's a 42-0 win against Alabama A&M. That's the first Vandy shutout under Derek Mason.
Wow. But what a job is Derek Mason doing there at Vanderbilt with that defense. You lose Zach Cunningham, you lose Adam Butler. They look every bit as good this year, and that's just a testament to guys like Derek Mason, coordinators that are so good with whatever talent they have of designing a scheme that fits that. Very similar to what Matt Canada is doing with this LSU offense, and obviously Dave Aranda with the youth and the freshmen that he has on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, I was going to spin it a different direction and compare it to Ed Ogeron. So Derek Mason gets to Vandy. Defense isn't what it likes. He says, you know what, this is my specialty. It's what I did at Stanford. I'm going to take over the defense. The key to Ed Ogeron's success, and this is opposite of what he did at Ole Miss, is to allow his coordinators to do their job. And he has been a much better coach overall, taking last season into account, early on this season in the spring, and how they've put together his staff by letting the experts do their job. He can focus on recruiting. He can focus on program management. And he told us yesterday that's the biggest thing he learned. Because I learned I can't coach like I did at Ole Miss. I was coaching like I was still the defensive line coach. I was trying to coach the entire team like a D-line. You can't do that. You got to trust the people you're with.
Yeah, and as a position coach, you're immersed in the minor details. Every little minor detail counts. And when you take that same philosophy into a head coach, you suffocate your coordinators, you suffocate your coaches. You hire talented coaches so they can do their job. And he's done a really good job of stepping back, still managing and having a hand in what's going on, the direction of the team, but not micromanaging his guys. And oh yeah, you know the position that he's coaching right now? It's the B-backs. He's just only coaching Calebon Chason and Arden Key.
Yeah, and Arden Key might just return next week against Mississippi State. We saw him out in the practice field a couple days ago. I thought Coach O had a great comparison, the way he treated that Ole Miss job to now learning more about it. He said when you first get a job, you treat it like a shiny new car. You want to protect everything. It's kind of like Tommy Boy trying to work a sale back in the day. Cole, what do you got?
Hey, I tell you what I like to see about Coach O. You mentioned it, Jordan, going down there with those defensive ends, outside linebackers, coaching them up, getting his hands on them, yelling at him a little bit, still sort of playing the role of position coach, which is what he knows he's best at. But I like the fact also in our meetings, he's not afraid to admit, listen, I didn't do it right at Ole Miss. There were some things that I want to change about my time at USC. He has learned from his previous stops, and I think that's one thing that's going to give him a big leg up on being successful here at LSU.
New quarterback in the game for the Tigers. It's Miles Brennan, the freshman from Long Beach, Mississippi. He hands off to Nick Brossette. And Brossette, with his stiff arm, takes it past midfield. Talking to Matt Canada about Brennan. This guy's a stud, he said. A Mississippi high school record 15,000 pass yards, 166 passing touchdowns. His senior year, 48 touchdowns against just 3 picks. Same high school that produced Heisman winner Doc Blanchard at St. Stanislaus.
And there you go. First thing, put that mouthpiece in. It's kind of half in right now. He got in the game against BYU last week, and he went 9 straight plays without putting that thing in his mouth. So first thing you do, hey, protect yourself, put that mouthpiece in.
You saw him in practice a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
What'd you think of him?
I mean, right off the bat, as good as Danny Etling is and as much more velocity as he has compared to last year, the ball comes out of Brennan's hands different than any quarterback they have on roster. It jumps out of his hands. He spins the ball. When you talk about a quarterback, arm strength, it's not just how hard you throw the ball, but how well you spin it as well, which helps that ball carry, helps you be more accurate. I mean, he has some tools. Obviously, he's growing to his body a little bit. He's probably a little lighter than they would like, but boy, is he talented.
The question we posed to Matt Canada in our meetings yesterday was, if Miles Brennan had to play for you right now, would you be comfortable with that? And he said, absolutely. This guy could play right now. And you pointed out that in both the spring and the fall, it's not that Miles Brennan lost the job in the competition with Danny Etling. It's that Danny Etling won it.
Yeah, and that's a testament to Etling because, very frankly, you could tell Canada was like, man, this guy can play. And he used the words, he's a guy, which universally is one of the best compliments you can give a guy in football. But he also says he's got that it factor. So the fact that he is not playing and this is so firmly Danny Etling's job is just a testament to how much he's recovered, how much healthier he is, and how much he's taken reins of this offense because it was kind of either or at one point.
It helps when the guy who recommended you to the previous offensive coordinator, another Mississippi quarterback who was pretty good, was by the name of Brett Favre.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he was visiting with Cam Cameron. He said, you've got to go see this kid, Miles Brennan. Cameron said, yeah, sure. We'll take a look at him. And actually kind of ran into him by chance. He just happened to be visiting his school shortly thereafter and went, oh, this is the dude Favre was telling me about. Yeah, we should be recruiting this guy. Gage fumbles it on the exchange on the jet sweep. It'll go as a negative play. It's a loss of 7.
Which Tom, I don't know how you can just not notice a guy. I mean, he only threw for 16,000 yards in high school. Going to be a very talented kid, but look at the weapons that he's going to have at some point to utilize after Danny Etling.
Yeah, you can get a feel for what is in LSU's program DNA. I hear you, Kendrick Lamar.
Well, we knew Danny Etling could be efficient. What we didn't know is just how dangerous he could be, not only with his legs making big plays, but the explosive plays in the pass game, pushing the ball downfield to 3 different guys tonight. He has shown everything we want to see from this offense that usually is a run first and run only, has really turning into something that can be very dangerous, pushing the ball downfield. What a great compliment to Darius Geis in the backfield. Not as efficient as he was maybe last week, but boy, 227 yards on 8 completions. I'll take that any night.
Yeah, that's a good night. Here comes pressure from Chattanooga. The freshman Brennan had one. Stephon Sullivan had 6, and Miles Brennan had his first touchdown pass if he just could have held on.
Boy, and the guy we just saw in a big highlight, Stephon Sullivan, the 6'6" target, make a big play downfield. Hasn't seen a lot of balls, though. And that's just something that comes with being comfortable, comes with playing a lot of football, not running before you catch it. Those are the little things. And I guarantee Miles is going to go find him on the sideline and say, hey, you owe me one.
See if we can get it back on 3rd and 17. A little sloppy here late in the game. Gage had that fumble and then the dropped perhaps 6. Brennan will take off with it. And a beautiful slide by Brennan. Pickup of 6. Miles Brennan had a game in high school against East Central where he went 41 of 45 for 543 yards and 8 touchdowns for the Rocket Jaws. That is a good night.
Tom, I threw the ball more than 20 times twice in my high school career. That's attempts, not completions. He threw for 15,000 yards, 166 touchdowns, and 16,000 total yards of offense. Mississippi high school records, all of them. And I was like, I'd be happy if I got 10 times to throw the ball.
They're going to wait on it, and Groudon kicks it away and come to a rest inside the 14. Well, it's been a sad week for folks around University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. Former football All-American, longtime Chattanooga supporter Bucky Wolford passed away this past week. As a defensive back, Wolford set a school freshman record that still stands. 7 picks back in 1966. So at 68, he moved to offense. They went 9-1, their best season ever, and he led the team in rushing. Mr. Wolford would go in the UTC Athletics Hall of Fame, continue to serve in executive positions on various university boards and organizations. He was honored in '93 for his lifetime accomplishments, and today the Mock Strength and Conditioning Center bears the Wolford name thanks to his generosity. When Tom Arth was hired, he had a chance to meet Bucky Wolford, and the first thing Bucky said to him was, "How do you plan on stopping the option?" Here's a big play that Bucky would approve of. It goes for a first down, and Joseph Parker tight ropes his way down the sideline, and it'll go for a big gain for the Mocs of 67 yards.
And a break in coverage down here. This is Grant Delpit, the highly touted true freshman. He's learning. These are things that you start to, and Dave Aranda even mentioned, I'm teaching these guys basics about football, play action, how to see formations, things that aren't play specific or scheme specific, just things that if you watched a lot of football growing up, you might catch on to. So not only is Aranda teaching a scheme and a defensive style, but he's also teaching football, and that's something that Delpit will start to understand a little bit more late in this game. Don't take chances. Allow the ball to be played in front of you and rally for the tackle there. Got a little eager and got his eyes in the backfield.
Here comes the pressure from Chason. They chase the quarterback out of the pocket. I thought it was interesting that Dave Aranda talked about the difference between Big Ten players and SEC players, and specifically what he had at Wisconsin. He said, you know, my Wisconsin guys, they're older, a lot of fifth-year guys, a lot of redshirted guys, but they're gym rats. Over the course of the summer, they're watching CFL games. They're watching the early FCS games. They're watching NFL Network re-airs nonstop. They're just gym rats when it comes to the game of football. And a lot of the guys he has in his roster now are even new to the game. Caleb Von Chason thought basketball was going to be his ticket, so he didn't even play for a couple of seasons. So a lot of that nuance that he had from his guys at Wisconsin, still learning these kids from LSU. And straight up the middle, it's Bridges, and he's able to punch it in from 16 yards out. The senior Darrell Bridges has a touchdown run.
Another transfer for this Chattanooga offense. As you mentioned earlier, Tom, transferred from Presbyterian, over 2,000 yards there. A guy that knows football well. And a great block by Malcolm White there on the left side. Really just pinning his guy inside, allowed Bridges to hit that one with some speed.
That's the first touchdown, by the way, allowed by the LSU defense in 34 possessions. You have to go back to Thanksgiving night when A&M scored against them, because remember, they didn't allow one to Louisville in the bowl game.
And I was just about to say, I mean, something to build off of. This LSU team is so good in the red zone. You can build off that if you're Chattanooga.
Big pass to Parker, set it up, and Darrell Bridges, the senior from Chattanooga, is able to take it in from 16 out. Monday at 7 Eastern, it's the latest Thinking Out Loud. Greg and Marcus, and they're going to be talking about Cole Kubelik again. I guarantee it. Because Cole has a story that he's going to share here in a moment after this kick that is going to take this show by storm. You can participate, by the way, in this show, social media and live call-ins throughout. It's also on the ESPN app. It's Monday at 7 Eastern, the second ever episode of Thinking Out Loud. We got an incredible story from Ed Ogeron yesterday about another Ed Alexander. And Ed Orgeron is a fantastic storyteller, and it's because he's been in this game for so long, and he's got a passion for this game. It also has a big thing to do with his personality and the way he presents his stories. And I'm telling you, I was just beside myself with this one that he told us yesterday about Ed Alexander. Did you have a nickname, by the way, when you were playing?
I had a million, but nothing really cool. It was always just kind of like my name shortened, J-Rod, J-Raj.
Here's Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Sunshine when I had long hair.
Coach O goes by Bebe, named after his dad in many ways. Cole, clue everybody in on this Ed Alexander story.
I heard somebody refer to Ed Alexander when we were at practice Thursday as Rougarou. So we're in our meetings with Ed Orgeron, and I said, Coach, what is Rougarou? And he kind of laughs and sits back, and he says, yeah, swamp monster, swamp Sasquatch, Cajun Sasquatch, if you will, was the definition that Ed Orgeron used for us. And I loved how he talked about recruiting. Ed Alexander said, when I find out what this young man's nickname is, and he said, my name's Ed, like you said, if you're Ed and you grew up in southeast Louisiana, you're going to have a nickname. I asked him what his nickname was. Rougarou, he says. And you could see Ed Orgeron's eyes just sort of light up. And he says, boy, can you imagine you get a sack in LSU in Tiger Stadium and the crowd starts chanting, Rougarou, Rougarou, Rougarou. I said, Coach O, that had to be the easiest recruiting pitch you've ever had in your life.
Well, he told
the kid not commit right there.
Yeah, he told him, he said, with a nickname like Rougarou, there's only one place you can go to play college football. That's LSU.
I can't think of another. It's perfect.
They got about 17 Eds on this roster, by the way.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to come up with some more nicknames. Bebe's got his. Rougarou's got his out of Aquinas High School in Hammond, Louisiana. The Cajun Sasquatch. He said it's one of those monsters that a Cajun might be afraid of, but you never really see. You just that monster under your bed kind of thing is how he described it. A little bit late on the crossing route and incomplete.
Tell you what, 6'3", 340-pound Ed Alexander lines up over me. I'm letting him go wherever he wants.
You're going to say Ruggo. Uh-oh.
So good the way Orgeron told that story, too. You guys are missing out. I mean, Cole did a great job down there, but when Ed Orgeron gets going, it's unlike anything else.
Did you guys know what a Rougarou was before that meeting?
No idea.
If you were to ask me what a Rougarou is before that meeting, I would have guessed it would be something that Ben McDonald's family is serving up at their tailgate. And it would probably be a dessert.
I mean, I listened to a lot of TRU when I was in college, and I never heard reference to a Rougarou.
We were sitting in the equipment room a couple days ago, and we started thinking about college football coaches who have their dream job. And it's partly a job that you would never leave because you get paid well, you have a chance to win there. And the other part of it is it's one that you would never leave and that you would take for no money whatsoever. And it's a very short list. Ed Orgeron is on that list. This was and is his dream job, and there is no reason for him to leave it. And that is a luxury that they have and the dream that he had when he first came into the stadium as a fan in 1977. That was a blowout win that night against Rice, and this looks the same here.
SEC Saturday Night is presented by Holiday Inn Express. Be the readiest.
Well, they got a brand new Mike the Tiger. It's Mike the 7th, formerly known as Harvey, Siberian Bengal male tiger from Okeechobee, Florida originally. And he is a beauty. At 220 pounds, paws the size of my head, and a great crowd around him yesterday, as there should be. That is a beautiful, beautiful animal.
I went and checked him out yesterday. He was just sunbathing.
Yeah, he was just chilling.
Guys, got some info for you on the new Mike the Tiger. He's got a birthday coming up. September 13th, turn 1, 210 pounds as we speak. He eats between 15 and 20 pounds of food a day. They come in 5-pound logs.
Wow. So pretty similar to your diet there, huh, Cole?
Exactly.
The original Mike was purchased. They no longer buy the tigers. They get them from rescue habitats and the like. The original Mike was bought for $750 back in the 30s. That would be equal to about $13,000 today.
Bargain.
There are signs up around Mike's habitat, which is as beautiful as it's ever been, encouraging fans who come by to visit him not to bring pets and not to bring stuffed animals. He's still too young to know the difference between a stuffed animal and a live animal. And one of the most dangerous things for a tiger is to chip your tooth. So they're afraid that if you spook Mike, or that if he's going to make a jump for a stuffed animal or a pet, that he might run into the glass and chip his tooth. It's one of the leading causes of death for tigers.
That's a great factoid there, Tom.
Yeah, it's why dentists are so important. Veterinarian dentists.
I got a little chip in my tooth. Should I be worried?
You might be. It didn't slow you down with the crab cheesecake last night. Mike the First showed up on campus in 1936. 3rd and 5 after the pressure from the LSU defense. Again, pressure, and it's thrown in the first row. It drilled one of the fans over there. You got to look alive, my friend. She gets a high five from it, and somebody else is walking away with the football.
Don't get to keep that one. Toss that one back.
Yeah, this isn't a baseball game. We're not in the box, but that young lady in the first row didn't see it coming.
I used to get in trouble for not throwing it far enough out of bounds. I'd be close to the sideline and just kind of like airmail to the guy standing closest to me. And one time I was almost picked, and coach is like, throw that 10 rows deep next time. So I always did.
Hit a tuba if you can.
Like, I like that ball. Are we going to get that one back?
Here's Colin Brewer to punt it away. Inside the 30-yard line, another opportunity for Miles Brennan, the freshman. Mike in the stands, and don't take stuffed animals over there, okay? Well, Deebo Samuel turned the game around at Faurot Field tonight, and Wednesday you'll get an all-access pass to that game, to Mizzou football for their game against South Carolina. Never before seen footage and sounds from pregame to postgame. It was a 31-13 win for the Gamecocks. It's SEC Inside, presented by Regions Bank, also streaming live on the ESPN app. Miles Brennan under center for LSU, and he'll hand it off to Nick Brossette. We're talking about baseball's going to the stands and keeping them. There's a baseball tie into this LSU football program. Jack Marucci is their director of athletic training. He's in his 22nd season in that role here at LSU. The most valuable thing Jack Marucci ever did was take a woodshop class, because when his young son wanted to swing a wooden bat in Little League, they couldn't find one short enough. And so, proving that the game of baseball is indeed a game of inches, they needed to find a bat that was just 1 inch shorter. So Jack Marucci went into the shed in his backyard and carved his son a wooden bat. That was the first of thousands, and it spawned the Marucci Bat Company, which today features guys like Chris Bryant, Josh Donaldson, Carlos Beltran, Jose Bautista, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. It has grown into one of the fastest and most lucrative bat companies in all of baseball. So while you and Cole were watching practice the other day, I went to Jack Marucci's office just to look at his bat collection. It was incredible. It all started, by the way, with our partner at ESPN, Eduardo Perez, in 2003. Jack and Eduardo knew each other from their time at Florida State. And he showed Eduardo what he had been doing. And lo and behold, Eduardo Perez, without any approval from Major League Baseball, which is required when it comes to equipment, Eduardo Perez took this bat that was originally supposed to be used for batting practice and used it in a St. Louis Cardinals game. Jack Marucci was beside himself. He said, Eduardo, you can't use that thing. What if it breaks? What if it doesn't hold up? Well, that day he met Albert Pujols. He met Barry Larkin shortly thereafter. The Hall of Famer started using his bat, and it took off. Guys like Kurt Ainsworth, who played here, now involved in the company, and that thing is incredible. In fact, President Bush sent Jack Marucci a letter, and it said, the story of your company is exactly what the American dream is all about. You wanted to solve a problem, you did it, you figured out how to perfect it. and it's an incredible story. By the way, a lot of folks would take a letter from the president and frame it, right?
I would.
It'd be in a prominent place. No, it's in one of his drawers. It's just in a filing cabinet. And all of his bats are just shoved into a corner. Oh, here's one of Pujols' bat. Here's one from Orlando Cabrera. They'll use it to help the Red Sox to their 2004 World Series. By the way, that one was stamped with the initials BC, or CB, I should say, for Curse Buster. It worked.
It's an unbelievable story. Maybe I should start making footballs.
I don't know if there's
a
need.
pet project.
I don't think there's a shortage of footballs out there.
Well, was there a shortage of bats?
Well, good point. I guess the quality bats were.
I'm the biggest stickler when it comes to footballs as it is.
What would you change? What is something that you insist on having as a quarterback with your football that you just can't do without in terms of quality leather?
The synthetic laces are awful. So it's got to be true grain leather as the laces, and it's got to be the girth of the ball is really important. You can't have a thin ball; it doesn't spin as well. The thicker the ball, the better it spins. So I tell you what, I might do this. If you don't want to be a partner with me, then that's okay. I'll get Cole down there, and he'll talk about how to snap them. I'll talk about how to throw them, and we'll get ourselves a little thriving business going.
I have $6.22 in my pocket. I'd like to invest in your idea. So hey, Nike, are you listening? Get rid of the synthetic laces.
Yeah, I can't stand them. Quarterbacks hate them.
They're going to go unbalanced to the left side again. That time it's Toby Weathersby. And as this LSU team prepares to face Mississippi State last week, they're dealing with a team that had another great running game for Nick Fitzgerald. Jeffrey Simmons had a pair of defensive touchdowns. I thought coming into the season that quarterback was going to be one of positivity for Mississippi State. Their defense has really stood out.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I played against Todd Grantham, and what he's done there so far, they haven't really been tested yet. Charleston Southern and La Tech to start the season, but a Todd Grantham defense is so difficult to go against as a quarterback because of what he does pre-snap. He's so brilliant at disguising coverages, bringing exotic looks. You have to do a ton of prep as a quarterback to prepare for that type of defense. So Etley's going to have his hands full prepping for not just a talented defense, but a very complex one as well.
Brennan has it batted down and incomplete. That was Cayenne Edwards.
Jordan, not only the quarterbacks have to have their prep in place, but your offensive line as well. Watching Todd Grantham's defense reminds me of when I played and Joe Lee Dunn was a defensive coordinator at Mississippi State. And sometimes it doesn't matter how much prep you put in because you're going to get looks that don't make any sense and are beyond unconventional, and they're going to bring two guys in one gap. They're going to bring six guys off one edge. There's not going to be any defenders with their hand on the ground, and it can be tricky. And with all the movement that Matt Canada and LSU are going to do up front before the football is snapped, recognition is going to be critical in that game next week.
Great penetration up front. Yeah, Jolie Dunn would stand two guys up. He'd stand everybody up. He'd have one down line. I mean, you didn't know where they're coming from.
It's a great point, Cole, because some defensive coordinators don't want to put themselves at risk. They don't ever want to have an unsound attack. And Grantham is a guy that he'll throw that out the window at times to bring exotic looks and bring pressure. And as you mentioned, with how much Canada's offense moves pre-snap, that means the defense is moving and confused as well. When you have a complex attack like Grantham has and they're moving before the snap, that's what we saw last week. The offensive line of LSU have a little trouble with assignment, responsibility, so they're going to have their hands full as well.
Connor Colpon for a 45-yard attempt. And that one is good. Kicking game has left a little bit to be desired tonight, but Coach O passed out some dap and high fives. That one's good. Well, SEC Nation's going to be in Stark Vegas next week for the big-time matchup between Mississippi State and LSU. Laura, Marcus, Paul, Tim, and Lauren will break down everything from the gridiron to the grill for week 3 of the college football season. See if Paul can find a big old drum to bang on like you did at the close of the show today. It's SEC Nation presented by Dr. Pepper right here on the SEC Network. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. They might be talking about Jeffrey Simmons, who had a 90-yard fumble return for a touchdown and a blocked punt return for a touchdown today for Mississippi State's big win against La Tech. No return for Chattanooga. Triple header action next week. A&M will face off with Louisiana Lafayette. Mizzou's home against Big Ten's Purdue, and we'll be over at Billy Bright Stadium for South Carolina and Kentucky. That should be a big one. Big comeback for the Cats today. Another comeback win.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing. Yeah, would you like to have the score a little different against Eastern Kentucky? For sure. But you showed some resilience and you showed some guts from a team that's going to need that moving forward.
What is that? Is that a scarecrow or is that
a tiger?
That might be a ruggaroo.
It could be.
You just got some interesting news about a ruggaroo festival.
The great world of Twitter informed me that there's a ruggaroo festival just south of here in exactly 41 days.
Whoa, another pick for LSU. It came off the deflection. They're going to rule it incomplete.
He thinks
But
he got
the freshman Andreas Williams thinks he has his second of the night and his third in 2 games. It is ruled an interception on the field. Greedy, Deedy, indeed. Look at that.
Just stole it from him. This is going to be close.
Ball's not on the ground yet, and I don't think it ever was. Wow, what hands. Bailey Lenore was the receiver for Chattanooga. And Andreas Williams just ripped it away from him. That is 3 picks now in 2 games for the freshman.
Yeah, in place of Kevin Tolliver, who has been a very good corner here. Had a lot of hype coming into the season, but Williams played great game 1, getting a ton more time here in game 2. And boy, not going to keep him off the field with 3 interceptions if this one holds up.
I think Tom Arth is wondering if his receiver wasn't down. And they're going to use a timeout here to try to initiate some review. And if he had control of it and he was down on the ground, then the ball should have been dead and no interception. So Andreas Williams with a couple of picks tonight. Remember, Kevin Tolliver was suspended last week, 5-star recruit, and he had a chance to get on the field tonight. But as Jordan mentioned, Greedy's not giving up his spot.
Not that there's ever been any confusion over what a catch is, but this is going to be one that challenges that. Yeah, Williams does have his hand in there the entire time.
Now remember, it was ruled an interception on the field, so we must have inconclusive evidence that it could be reversed. So if Lenore had control of it and his knees are down and he's down, then it can't be an interception. But I don't know that you can say that video evidence shows that.
I think with Williams' hand in there the entire time, that I think this one might stand. As initially I thought that Lenore had possession, knee was down as it is there. But either way, what a heads-up play. As a receiver, as a DB, you're taught to split the wrists or split the hands of the receiver at the point the ball touches their hands, and he's got his hand in there the entire time, strips away at the end.
Article 3, point B, if a player goes to the ground in the act of catching a pass with or without contact, he must maintain complete and continuous control of the ball through the process of contacting the ground, whether in the field of play or in the end zone. So that should clear it up. You've got to complete the catch.
Yeah.
And therefore, what a play have been down. Andreas Williams, the redshirt freshman out of Shreveport, is just continuing this long line of great defensive backs here at LSU. 17 DBs drafted since 2007. 6 of them in the first round. Last year, a pair of first-team All-Americans. DBU indeed. David Smith will clear it up for us. What do you got, Dave?
Okay. After further review, the receiver was down prior to losing possession of the ball on the 46-yard line. It'll be first down, Chattanooga at that spot.
Huh. Not really how I saw it. I mean, because let me ask you this question.
A lot of gray area in this one.
Just from a rules standpoint, if this ball comes out and it's not intercepted, are they going to rule that a complete pass? They're going to rule that incomplete because he didn't continue the catch.
Yeah.
So if that would be incomplete.
Different from a runner that goes down, and as soon as his knee or elbow hits, he is deemed down. This is completing the entirety of the catch. And I think with Williams' hand in there and stripping it out simultaneously as he comes to the ground, like I said, there's a gray area, but I thought that one should have stayed.
Remember, it was ruled an interception on the field. By the way, Andreas Williams at Calvary Baptist Academy in Shreveport had 5 interceptions as a high school player. He already has a couple here as a redshirt freshman in 2 games.
The youth on this defense the talented youth is staggering. Andreas Williams, Grant Delpit in the back end as well, a true freshman in his own right. Obviously comparisons to Jamal Adams, Dante Jackson, who we didn't talk about a ton tonight, number 1. Usually plays the cornerback position, one of the fastest guys in probably the country. As usual, this LSU team is stacked on the back end.
There's Kevin Tolliver, 5-star recruit. Only higher rated recruit in recent years was Leonard Fournette. And he was suspended last week for LSU in that BYU game. Had a chance to play today. And they've done a fantastic job of creating competition between the upperclassmen and the lowerclassmen. Because there's a void in there, sophomore and junior classes. But Kevin Tolliver now, I'm sure he understands. He may have gotten Wally pipped in this situation.
Yeah.
You gave Andreas Williams a chance to play by your off-season transgressions.
I mean, think about it. If he plays game 1, Williams doesn't get an interception. Williams probably doesn't play first here tonight either. That's how quickly things can change when you got talented freshmen behind you. That's what the number 6 recruiting class in the country will do for you. Young talent all over the field that are just ready to step in, provide a lot of value.
1:37 left in this one tonight. SEC Now with Dari, Gene, and Chris follows our game with a comprehensive recap of Week 2 in the SEC. No one covers a conference like we do. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. Neither one of those people in that picture will be on the show after the game. It'll be Dari, Gene, and Chris. TCU knocked off Arkansas tonight, 28-7. I should say today. Austin Allen only 9 of 23. Tennessee hammered Indiana State. Ty Chandler had a big quick kickoff return for a score. Quentin Dormady, good day at quarterback for Tennessee. John Kelly had a good day in the backfield. Alabama smoked Fresno State. Ole Miss got Shea Patterson to throw for a school record 489 yards and 5 touchdowns. He broke the record set by Chad Kelly, who broke the record that was originally set by some dude named Archie Manning. He was pretty good.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, he was good.
Kentucky came from behind in Eastern Kentucky. Whoa, that was his offsides as Cole reaching over for me to try to get his hands on that shrimp corn dog last night.
5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Michael Divinity Jr. This is an LSU team with so much speed defensively. It looks like they've got lockdown corners again. That allows them to run free. We're going to see more pressure going forward from Dave Aranda, it seems.
And with Dave Aranda telling us they really only had like 3 calls coming into this game on defense. He wants his young guys to play fast. In order to do that, you got to have a simple game plan. He really wanted to see his guys rush the passer today. Corey Thompson on the outside, Caleb Chason on the outside, both really athletic, explosive off the end. And he didn't want to really bring any pressure. He wanted to keep everything pretty basic and see those guys just match up against tackles on the outside and rush the passer. Because if they're going to be successful moving forward in this conference, you can't strictly rely on bringing pressure, blitzing, putting your defense in a bind behind there in order to create pressure on the quarterback. You got to have guys that can win matchups with the speed they have, the young speed, the old speed with Corey Thompson, the 6th-year senior. They're going to be able to do that, I think, with just 3 or 4 down linemen at times.
Tiano hands it off, and big hit in the backfield on 4th and 1. And LSU will turn Chattanooga over on downs again. Michael Divinity coming into that B-back spot for the stop. But what has impressed you most about LSU tonight?
I mean, just the overall speed and the youth. I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, the speed and youth. Caleb Chason. I mean, they didn't even have Rashard Lawrence tonight, maybe their best defensive player tonight up front. So the pressure they were able to bring to the quarterback,
So how much better can this defense look? Because you get Rashard Lawrence back probably next week. He really wanted to play tonight. And Arden Key is really close to returning.
We've hardly even talked about him tonight. I mean, possibly the best player in all the country. You're going to get back when his shoulder gets healthy. That's a scary thought, let alone the offensive side of the ball has looked great with the receivers that stepped up tonight. Etling looked strong. Darius Geis came on there in the second and third quarter. That was explosive. We saw the things we needed to out of this offensive line with their assignments, hat on a hat, their blocking schemes, which was just at times maybe a block or two off against BYU.
Leonard Fournette gets a carry. This, by the way, seems like deja vu for head coach Ed Ogeron. Not that there's a Fournette running the ball, but in his first game as the interim head coach at USC, he had 5 different running backs carry the football. They played 5 running backs tonight. And that's how the night is going to end. Ed Ogeron in his first home game as the unquestioned head coach of this LSU program will pull out a victory. Only 3 Louisiana natives in the history of this program have served as the head coach. There is no more interim tag. He gets a chance to take the field and lead his team across the threshold here at Tiger Stadium. And he leads number 12 LSU to a 2-0 start in the season and a 45-10 victory over Chattanooga. No rest for LSU. Conference play starts next week as they draw Mississippi State. Time to get back to the studio. We got more coming your way from Tiger Stadium. Cole and Coach O will have a nice little greenside chat when we return here to Baton Rouge. But first, it's all Dari.